Apply.
Thing on
Okay,
the
we're
phone.
good. We're good. There we go. There we go. Woo! Sorry, that took a second.
Twitter's back to its original valuation.
Is it really?
44 billion, yeah.
Which is
I
kind
just saw
of
that.
surprising considering Tesla stock's in the absolute pooper, as they say.
Well, that's because of the people going after them. Everyone's trading in their Teslas.
Yeah, I almost want to. We're definitely going to talk about that today, but I just want to open everything. So that's fine. That's fine. Where's my TikTok tab? And I think we're good, mother. We are live, as they say.
It's alive.
Yeah.
It's alive.
Now I have to say, considering I woke up at 7:30 today, I'm feeling pretty good. Now,
Oh, how was golf?
it was good.
Good?
My funniest thing happened, right? So obviously Justin and I were playing. Funniest thing happened. We were kind of pushing these people in front of us a little bit because we ended up catching up to the people that start on the back nine. I actually did a full 18 today, and it was quick. So I was like, oh, if that's how long a full 18, it took us to do a full 18, probably about the time that it takes us to do a 9 at my golf course. We went to a different golf course. We didn't go to Carolina Colors, but this guy, I guess.
It was Pinehurst, right?
Yeah, Pinehurst, yeah. Or maybe it was the Ambrosia or whatever. I just butchered that probably. But this guy, Mom, we're literally on the last hole. The guy, so it's Justin and I, so the 2, and then in front of us is a 3, and then in front of them's a 4. So these guys are kind of pinched in the middle, and I felt bad. But we weren't pushing them or anything, but we finished our hole, so we drive up behind them, and this guy tees off. And it's almost like we must have rushed him so bad because he hit a line drive. It's almost like he was aiming for the woods, like right off the tee. Like instead of if the hole's over there, he was just like boom sideways. He goes. The guy goes, "Yup." It doesn't even pick it up. It runs back to his cart. I was like, you could have just hit another one. It was hilarious. I've never seen. Mom, it went from the tee to the woods in a split second. And he's like, yes, and he gets to his cart and just drives off. I was like, oh, okay. So, but no, I played really well.
Yeah, that's good. That time in the morning, those are your hardcore golfers. You know, like they like the early.
Nah, these guys are like, oh, here's a villain. Thank you. But just rips it right in, you know?
Yeah.
So that was hilarious. So we're sitting there doing our thing, and then we all played well. The fucking
mother talk.
Oh, sorry. I was reading the chat at the same time. That's my ADD talking. Hold on one second. So what was I saying? Sorry. Shoot. Oh yeah. So the course that we played today is a lot narrower than the one that we normally play.
Oh.
So.
Well, you gotta hit it nice and straight then. Was it just you? You're just the 2 of you?
Yeah, just the 2 of us. Just the 2 of us.
That makes it quicker for you too. For you and Justin. You're not waiting for 2 other people to.
Yeah, we didn't have to. So, and Justin hits far, so we're pretty much at the same distances, so we don't have to wait for anyone behind us. So, sorry, Uncle Jerry, if you're watching. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, we just blast them. So, but no, it was fun. Now, we have a lot to go through for this podcast, Mom. I don't even know where to start. We had the JFK files come out this week. We had Conor McGregor in the White House. We had we had so many things. So did you go over any of the JFK stuff or not really?
I looked at something that did highlights on it of what was going on, and I laughed because Ducey was in the Oval Office and they got asked Trump, so who actually killed JFK?
Yeah, because with all of that, all the 80,000 pages that came out, not a single name of who actually killed him. At this point, we don't think it's Lee Harvey Oswald, otherwise it would say it. But it's funny because now all the stuff comes out, and then, I almost don't want to say it on YouTube, but I mean, there's a lot of links between CIA, Mafia, Mossad. So it's not. I mean, someone brought it up. I was watching another podcast on it, and someone brought it up and said it best. Now it's just fun talk because there's nothing we can do. There's no pinpointing or pointing names or fingers. There's no point because everyone's dead by now. So it's tough. So
it really wasn't. I don't think it's been about protecting individuals for the last at least 30 years.
No,
it's just about protecting institutions.
Yeah, it was to save the CIA because the CIA, right? CIA wanted to go to war with Cuba. We have the Bay of Pigs or whatever beforehand, and then JFK was like, "No, I don't want to go to war." And then the CIA was like, "No, we want war." And he's like, "Okay, so let's just shut down the CIA." And the CIA was like, "Whoa, hold up." So there's a lot of, and what's also interesting is in there, it says Jack Ruby met with Lee Harvey Oswald weeks in a nightclub beforehand. So that's pretty crazy.
Yes.
But
or pretty
again,
coincidental, huh?
yeah, what do we do with all this information, you know?
Well, I think it's interesting to take it in concert with what's going on right now with, as we're seeing these funding issues through Doge and money going here, money going there. And now I think they've gone into the CIA and they're looking at those funds and how they're using money in other countries to sort of create these government changes, if you will, so it almost reinforces that it's not that far-fetched. It goes back to those times. So if you were from the 1960s, 63, 70, nobody would have ever thought the CIA would do anything bad. Are you kidding me?
What?
One of these, right, a storied American institution. And fast forward now as we're going in and we're looking at what's been going on over the last couple decades, it's not that crazy what we're seeing now with JFK. It almost reinforces that, all right, there's some real problems in our government institutions.
Yeah, I also think that a lot of the reasons why they didn't want to, well, first off, the CIA redacted or wanted to redact a lot of things before this came out. And I think whoever the administration who runs that, whether it's Kash Patel or whoever, they were like, no, we're not redacting all the stuff that you asked me not to. I don't think it was the CIA. I don't think it's the CIA, head of the CIA, not, what's his name?
It's not not Rutledge. Not what the heck's his name?
The one.
Look it up because it bothers me. It's a major person. It's not.
That's. My mom's. This is where the Aunt Susan comes out. Where you gotta know.
No, we.
Sorry, Aunt Susan, if you're watching.
It's gonna kill me. Is it the guy from Texas? John Ratcliffe. It is.
Radcliffe. Yeah.
Rutledge. John Ratcliffe. Yes.
Wow.
He just started.
Are they all the same to you, Mom? No.
No, he was in the NSI, the one that Tulsi Gabbard's doing now, the head of.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he was involved. Ratcliffe was involved with the whole FISA court stuff, back with Russiagate, and having been in the office at the time, in security office, he was another one who was connecting all of the things. So back to what this is with JFK. What it was back then as its own institution being kind of corrupt and maybe possibly involved in the murder of an assassination of a president has grown exponentially since 9/11 when all these agencies, that's when we created HHS, right?
Yeah.
And that's when our security, all of a sudden we had as everybody's screaming about now, we had the ability now, our government to go in and listen to American citizens as part of the whole Homeland Security situation.
Right.
So, not to go into too much detail, but it's warped into something even more, in my opinion, grotesque constitutionally than it was back with Kennedy. But it just goes to show it's been going on since back then. These agencies are working against the American people. Where the hell does the CIA get off at being involved in the assassination of a president, right? I mean,
yeah, it's pretty insane and the CIA, not only did they I almost want to put the conspiracy label on, right? But now it's not a conspiracy anymore, so we can't openly talk about it. The CIA was working with the mafia, which kind of opens up doors for, remember the whole, the CIA would never pay for drugs in Mexico and all that. Remember what back in was it the 80s where, I forget what it was, what war? The poppy field. I guess it would be technically Afghanistan, but which was the one? Was it Iran or Afghanistan that had the poppy fields that they were?
Afghanistan was known with their poppies. They were big into the heroin and
there we go. Yeah, so it was that one. But for that, then you go, so the CIA must be doing other things, right? If you were able to take down a president, right?
Yeah.
First off, I think the American people who actually did read this thing, obviously not all 80,000 pages, but I hope this was kind of the wake-up call as, hey, we got to start looking into the CIA a little more. And then if the CIA is that bad, what makes the FBI better? And I think we're going to start seeing Kash Patel start.
No, we have seen it. That's my point. The last, I'd say, since Trump's first term, they've gone into overdrive with the things that they have done. And the Russia thing was the epitome of these agencies working together against, let's say, the American people, because, they're not supposed to be doing the things that they were doing. And I'll tell you, the Russia, that whole hoax thing, what really tipped it off, I can't think of the guy's name, it wasn't Mike Rogers, but one of the national security guys literally said, wait a minute, you're combing all this data. You got American citizens in there. You can't do that. And that's what started the whole unraveling of, they've been doing that for a while now, going after us and expanding it. And that's how you wind up with the Carter Page and, tapping into the president, and then later on the MAGA people or conservatives or whatever. So they found a way to target individual citizens based on the lack of transparency, or the fact that all these organizations were doing things, the CIA, the FBI, National Security, NSI, they're all being involved in these things, and the American people have no idea. And they don't fall under an executive branch or the
Right.
judiciary. They're kind of going rogue. And I just feel like what I was reading, it's not shocking. We kind of knew it. Do you know, I saw documents, I don't think it was related to this. Kennedy wanted the CIA to look into Nancy Pelosi's father, who was in the mafia. Right. And there's a whole letters about
Which
it.
is still crazy that every time that comes up, that always blows my mind. Yeah. So Nancy Pelosi's father was one of the most powerful mob bosses in our country by far. And all of a sudden,
I didn't know if that was true. I know he was in
from
it.
what I've seen in documents
Maryland.
sorry.
I think he was active in Maryland. I think that's where she grew up. But most powerful, I mean, that's a stretch.
I wouldn't say most powerful. But.
Yeah, he was involved, and that's enough. If he got the attention of the President of the United States, and that was, I think, long before Nancy was even involved, because she was a young girl in politics, it makes you really wonder, right?
Right, but what I mean is, like, Nancy, I mean, how old was she when she got in? No one went, hey, let's do a background check. Who's this lady's dad? Right? Yeah. Like, that's kind of where I go. And plus, when you look at her portfolio, and, I was talking to Justin today. He goes, man, I just realized today, have you ever seen Nancy Pelosi's investing portfolio? And I was like, yeah, dude, yeah. We all have.
Yeah. So welcome to the 21st century. Yeah.
When you have when you're shooting higher percentages than Warren Buffett, that's how you know. That's how you know it's not, something's up there. But
it's something so small as the Crockett woman, right? The new one, the lady from New Jersey who's got a big mouth right now. All of a sudden we're all racist. We need reparations. The Trump's Nazis. She's just all of a sudden like the new AOC coming out and saying all these things.
I have not seen anything on that.
Do you know I think it was through Doge, we're finding out that they get a stipend for cars in Congress. Okay. That's fine, because some of the districts are very large and they have to travel around the districts. She gets $999 a month for a car. That's not, a Chevy Impala. That's a Tesla, ironically. That's a luxury car. You really need that much money? Multiply that by how many representatives, was it 438, that most of whom can have access to that? Something stinks with that one, let me tell you, but who would know?
Yeah.
I never knew that as a taxpayer. We only know that now. And now all of a sudden for people who shoot their mouth off, right? So you could say a lot about Nancy Pelosi, but she was a figurehead. Everybody knew her. Think of all the other ones that are in there.
And she did a great job. She did a great job at being that figurehead. So she got, when you think of how far she got into politics, yeah, good for her, I guess, if you want to say it like that. But
remember, I'm sure she had help, and maybe, I don't know, but if your father's connected, there's a lot of things you could do, and you have connections all around. And if the CIA is working
with your dad, when your dad's trying to take down the president, yeah.
The sad part is it's not shocking to you or me, but it's shocking to somebody like your grandmother who lived through it. Who
I don't know, Grandma. I'll have to ask Grandma tomorrow if she read any of the stuff about what happened.
No, but you can ask her what it was like. And everybody will tell you everyone knows what they did that day when where they were and what they were doing the day the president died. I hadn't heard that till 9/11.
Right.
Right. Everybody always knows. And that was even more, as much as the attack on 9/11 was a national attack, it really was kind of isolated to the East Coast, right? Because that's most devastation. The assassination of a president is, especially somebody, I think he had a huge number of votes, whatnot. I don't remember his total.
Kennedy? Yeah, Kennedy.
Yeah, he was favored by
Well,
a
yeah,
lot. I mean, a lot
he
of
was a beloved president all around.
well, he represented the future. He was young. He was vibrant. The wife was beautiful. It was the first of that. All the other presidents were these stodgy old
They
people,
had
or
these haggard wives.
yeah, basically, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had these
So,
hideous wives.
right,
Um,
older women, not young, not
yeah.
vibrant, right? So it just was, before him was not Lyndon Johnson.
No, Lyndon B. Johnson was after. That was
Oh my
his,
gosh,
that was,
Eisenhower? Who was
oh,
before Kennedy?
if you're,
Eisenhower?
yeah. Ugh.
50s? No.
Oh God, here, mom's. This is where the gears start going. Look at that. She's frozen thinking about it. Oh wait, actually, I think my mom's actually frozen. Mother. Lost in thought. That's a tough place to get frozen, mother. I bet her like laptop broke or something. Hold on, let's see. Not broke, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Yeah, it's a glitch. No, you did. One sec. Here, one second. Let's see. Boom. Disconnect. Let me recall. Let me recall my mummy. My mummy. Once she, boop. Let's see if she'll pick up. You guys can still see me okay, right? It's a little... Oh, tell me Discord's down. How funny would that be? No, Discord's fine. Well, while she's getting set up. Oh, my mommy didn't pick up. How could she? Oy vey. Mummy. Let's see. Oh, she's probably like restarting her computer or something. But so anyway, for those of you, I know I'm like in a weird. I know we're in the shorts version. It looks a little weird, but for those of you that this is your first time watching the podcast, normally we do it as news articles. So we'll do the article, and then you guys can ask questions in between each article about either the article or something related to that topic. And then at the end of the podcast, you guys can ask us anything. We talk about something we already did. You can ask us other things about like video games or our lives and stuff like that. So yeah, let me just completely disconnect from this and we'll try recalling in a second. Let us see. Trying to sign in again. Uh-oh. Yeah, so it must have been mom's end. Look at all the podcasts we do. Our one call a week. And I guess while we wait, so for those of you that don't know, we are going down to Florida this week because we have to go grab a podcast award, which is going to be fun. Mom's up for a podcast award, and I'm not, which is unbelievable considering it's my podcast. Yeah. This is like, you know what this reminds me of? Sorry, you guys. I know you guys can't see. Well, I guess I could just put up my thing and we'll wait for mom. But this reminds me of, have you ever seen the Bill O'Reilly clip where he's like, fuck it, we're doing it live? That's what this feels like right now. But while we're waiting, if anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Ask away. A real object like the Golden Globe Awards. Well, it's the 50 over 50. Lol, but cool. Yeah, it happens. Those the older podcasters aren't great with the technology. Oh, here we go. I'm getting the call. Mom, the viewers are leaving. They're angry.
I know. I'm like, damn it. I think I have to call in because I'm just grinding away here. I don't know if something happened to our internet or something.
That would be kind of surprising.
Can you believe it? It's like gray. I can't.
Try completely closing out of the app. I like to point out that I'm not only the podcaster, the producer, but I'm also tech support.
Yeah,
Mom, viewers are leaving left and right.
I just quit Discord, so now I'm gonna go back in. Okay.
Yeah, but you should do the whole like Control Alt Delete and get rid of it. I forget what it is on a MacBook, but force close it and then relaunch it.
The whole Mac or just the Discord?
No, just Discord. You don't have to do that.
Okay. Oh, all right. We might be back. I see something here. All right.
Yeah, I see you're on.
Okay.
There we go.
Woo. Sorry
Wait
about
a,
that,
what
listeners.
was that?
Weirdest thing.
Yeah, we're doing it
It
live.
was the CIA. They were listening
Yeah,
in.
yeah, really. As we're talking about the whole assassination, I was just explaining real fast about the award ceremony that we have this week. I'm going to be with Mom in Orlando on Thursday. That's for
Yep.
the gala, which I can't wait to
Yep.
get there and find out it's canceled or something.
Well, and I'd like to think if you were over 50 that you would be going to you.
I like to think so.
Nothing
If
holding you back
well,
if you're
I don't
not
know.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you choose your profile picture? That's a great question. We'll answer that one at the end. I will write it down just because we're going to continue now that Mom's back. I know there's a little bit of a pod delay on YouTube, so 1 second. Yeah. Actually, how about I just do this? Let's make it easier. Boop. So what we were talking about before technical difficulties. So unprofessional, mother. No.
How? Sorry about that. We technical issues.
Technical issues. Where's
we
my
were
producer
saying how-
Michael?
Really? The
Fired.
difference with for Mom's generation, because they lived through it. You
Oh,
know,
that's
she
right.
would have a very different perspective. We're not shocked by it. We're jaded by all the stuff we've seen in our government,
Yeah.
especially.
But it
within the
gives,
last 10
that's what I was
years.
going to say. It gives the conspiracy theorists
Yeah.
ammunition. It makes them go, oh, if we were right about this, which is a big one that everyone's been toting, what else has conspiracy theorists been right about? So now they're going to start looking into the whole, what's the name of that serial killer? Manson. Not Marilyn Manson. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Charles Manson. Marilyn Manson's the musician, right? The whole Silicon Valley stuff and all that. So now it's like, oh, how many of these things are true? Because we knew MK Ultra was true. That was the first one where everyone was like, okay, but this doesn't really have an effect. It never really worked. And then now look where we're at. So I think this opens a door to a lot of. It's scary because it opens a door to, oh no, there's a lot of people that know more than they should, I guess. But it also opens the door to more questions and less faith in our government. Yes. And I also think it kind of promotes Trump, even if you don't like him, it kind of promotes his platform of, I don't like this guy, but we just had something kind of uncover. If he's the one that's getting it out, what does that mean about the presidents that I did like Obama, even Bush, Clinton? So I think that's where it's kind of it should be more of a shock to people than it is, I guess.
Well, I think it also has a lot to do with the hatred of what's becoming a smaller group of people around the world towards that particular president. He is different. He doesn't come from a political background. There isn't like a wink, wink handshake. Oh, we know what's going on, but just keep it. And they tell themselves it's for the good of the country to not make it an issue. All these things that go on with, now we call it the fourth state, the fourth branch of government, the deep state, all these terms that, like you said, conspiracy theories. But it goes back to the time of Kennedy. It's not a conspiracy. The CIA was rogue back then. They were doing things that maybe some people involved in the government knew full well about, encouraged, planned on doing. Who knows? So it's not an unusual thing, but we've gone along. They buried it. People mourned. We moved forward as a nation. We went through several presidents. And now we get to somebody new who says, you know what? It's getting really bad. It's now the people who are supposed to be controlling our government isn't. So those little things that happened in 63, not little being an assassination, but a couple small groups in our government doing it, now is blown to the point where it's accepted that it's happening. And people and now they're protecting the institution of this non-constitutional, oh, sure, let the CIA decide. Let them work with somebody to assassinate a president because they don't like him. That's just an example.
Yeah, that's
but
scary.
That's what I'm saying. We're jaded to it. And now we've had a real turning point in American history. And I'm not saying that to give Trump, oh, he's so wonderful, put him on a pedestal, but he is a unique figure in history, like a George Washington and those type of people that are bringing out information and reinforcing something from 19. He's going to now do MLK. That's a big one. That's almost as big as the president, but there's a whole storied history for Martin Luther King. They built him up to be somebody that almost more than a human, right? Like a superhuman being. he was a tremendous figure in our nation's history, tremendous leader, but he was no saint. And I think people are going to find that out.
Yeah, but neither was
And
Mother Teresa, and she got canonized a saint. So
well, yeah, I mean, they're not all people are. Everybody's different,
I think
right?
there's a certain mentality you have to get to that level. Does that make sense? Like I think there's a certain mindset you have to have of if you're going to be a great leader, you got to understand that you're going to do some things that you probably at that level you don't want to do but have to. Does that kind of make sense? Like you know how they say politicians like to go through the ringer of being a politician, you're going to have to meet some shady people. And unfortunately, sometimes those shady people, even though you don't want to be with them and get to know them, you need them for a moment in time to get you ahead, which I don't think is necessarily the right answer. But unfortunately, in that line of work, it's just going to happen.
Right.
So
sometimes you're going to make deal with the devil. That's
yeah, even if it's a short one.
Right. And look at the President Trump, for instance, he's made mistakes. He's done things that people don't agree with. You know, they're human beings. That's my point. Everybody puts certain, you got the Trump people that put him on a pedestal, and you got people that put Obama on a pedestal. Well, how things have changed since Mr. Obama was in office and how, Georgia, all these individuals. Same thing with MLK, going back to John F. Kennedy. He wasn't in office long enough to make mistakes, but think about all we've learned since then, right? The golden child. Now we know about affairs. We know about, to some extent, alleged drug use. We know that, they're just human beings. But it was an error of everybody thought the future of the country was resting on this young, vibrant couple cut down. So it was a tragic story, if you will. And now we're finding out our own government was involved in it. That's shocking for the people in the 1960s and 70s. It's not so shocking for us. We're that jaded because we've seen so much.
But you know what's also sad? That stuff's going to come out and there's still going to be people who don't believe it. How strange is that?
Yes. Yeah.
They'll read the redacted or unredacted files and then be like, I don't believe that. It's like that's crazy to me. Because at that point, then what do you believe in at all? So...
Okay, so let's do a segue here. How long ago was it? Maybe less than 5 years ago? Every progressive out there was demanding we all have electric vehicles. We all have to have it. Get rid of the gas-powered cars. We all have to have it. You have to. You're un-American if you have a gas guzzler. Shame on you. They loved Mr. Musk and his Teslas. Look at where we are now.
You know, it's funny. I was going to say this today because you sent me that one article on the Tesla thing. It's funny because, right, he's the enemy. They call him a Nazi. He's an idiot because he's helping. The smartest man in the world is apparently an idiot, which doesn't make sense. But now we're watching Teslas get destroyed left and right, just outside. People are keying them, whatever, breaking them apart. This is the same party that literally, I think it's been less than a year now. Remember, Joe Biden tried to implement only Teslas. In the government, like all government officials should be using Teslas, right? Yeah. Remember, Nancy Pelosi shorted that stock, right? Remember because they were going to buy up all the Teslas. It ended up going through, but literally less than a year ago, the Democrats wanted to do this. Now Trump does it, and then they're destroying shit.
Right.
Like that's why I say, and even my Democratic friends, they go like it's kind of ridiculous
because of Musk doing the Doge.
The Doge, yeah.
So they've ginned up all these progressive, radical people that basically, many of them look like they have some serious mental health issues.
Oh yeah.
And now they have these same individuals who are screaming at people in a SUV driving down the street, taking their kids to school. Now they're out bombing these cars in dealerships. This is terrorism. You have ginned up an army of terrorists, and to sit there and say, you know what, you Republicans and the MAGA, they're a threat to our country. They're terrorists. And meanwhile, you got the same leaders of the party saying he's a Nazi. He has to be taken down.
Mother, you're telling me this guy's a terrorist? Yeah. This dude. Oh, do you have your screen up, Mom?
Yeah, I can see him.
This guy.
Yeah.
So for those of you on the shorts form, you probably can't really see it, but
I'm hoping. My hope is this.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
They say Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has said, you get caught doing this, you're going to do 5 to 20 years in prison for terrorism, basically.
Right.
I hope they throw the book at them, only because the absurdity of it. And somebody like that person, obviously, he thought he was going to get away with it. And look at the tears. You can't blame him, because we had the summer of love where they burned everything in sight and people didn't, not everybody did time, right? Yeah. Well, there's a new sheriff in town, and you're not going to do this for no other reason. I mean, they're burning these Tesla districts because they don't like the fact they've been told by their government, by their party, by the people ginning them up. Oh, these are bad people. You need to go damage these Teslas. Some of them are actively rooting for Tesla stock to fail.
Which is wild, because, right, you saw Tim Walz. Did you see his thing of how he's talking about how he's loving how it's failing? And then Kevin O'Leary's like, yeah, this guy's a moron. It's part of your portfolio. Why would you want it to fail? Right? Mm-hmm. And Tim Walz is not a successful politician in the sense of, I don't believe he's like this multi-millionaire, but I'm sure he does well. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's still, hey, you're not at the point where you're throwing away 401ks and stuff. Right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The hypocrisy of these individuals and what they say and get away with saying. And it's bad enough that you get on a soapbox and you gin up people. Now, if you start throwing some of their quote unquote followers, like the picture of the guy you just saw, probably a happy idiot who thought, hey, this is, I'm making a stand. I'm protesting by setting something on fire. I don't know what that individual did. Maybe he just keyed a car, whatever. Okay, now you're going to learn a lesson. Let those people now turn on those leaders who told them to do this, who encouraged them to do it, right? But they're so far gone, they're going to blame Trump for it. I did it because of Trump, to your point. You can't convince them otherwise.
It's not possible, yeah. But I also still love the whole, hating Trump's one thing. The one thing that still drives me crazy is Elon's an idiot. That the guy just launched a rocket up, saved people, and brought them back down. Something we've never been able to do before. But somehow this guy's an idiot. Yeah. Right? And then people go, well, he's book smart. Nope, you got to put that to value. Or when they say he didn't start Tesla or he had help with Tesla, it's like investors are not help. You still need someone to put all that stuff in motion, right? Buying the scientists, all that, contracting out all the scientists and whatnot. And even then, from the stories we hear from interviews that they do at Tesla, like, the scientists go to Elon for stuff sometimes. How crazy is that? And then to say he's stupid, that's crazy.
Teslas have had problems on their own before they got involved. But, he's committed many sins, Mr. Musk. He took over Twitter and made it free speech again. That was his first sin. They never forgave him for that. But they figured we got other platforms. But this Doge thing is completely blowing their mind, right? Yeah. How many we did on the last podcast? We've had the last 3 presidents, Democrat president, Obama. We had Pelosi, we had Schumer come out and say, we need somebody going in there and checking the books. They're full of it. They didn't want that, because if they wanted it, there were plenty of smart people out there who could have done it better. Screwed. We finally got somebody in who did it. And they're doing it systematically, and they're doing it scientifically, et cetera, et cetera. The only problem I would say I have, and I think this is where they get into trouble, it's one thing to send these young people in and go in and dig up these funds. I don't trust it when I read a headline that says, Elon Musk is shutting down the department because of fraud. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that that's necessarily true, but I think it would behoove the administration to make a point of saying he doesn't have power. He gives us the information. We make the decision. Yeah. You got to be careful because, we know the mainstream media. They manipulate the information and they put these things out there that are ridiculous, and people start to believe
the other problem that I think we have, and it is kind of goes back to Trump's wording, like the way he words things, is we're shutting it down, we're cutting it. But they don't really talk about the rebuilding process. Like, they're going to rebuild that department just differently so that it functions normally. The big headline this week was he's cutting out, it's part of the Department of Education, he's cutting out food for the disabled kids and whatever, right? And that's true. He's cutting it out. But the rest of the statement is we're going to give them something way better. We're going to give them more nutritious food, stuff for their health. Right. But he doesn't say that when he says the slashing. And then the media has the ability to take that and run with it. So because of that, it's a lot. I don't know if easier is the right word, but it's definitely easier for media to kind of portray it and spin it one way and not even report on the other half of that. But if Trump just got all those thoughts out, but common sense says, yeah, you're not going to cut it completely and not restart it. There's very few things that he's actually going to cut and not restart and rebuild. So.
Well, and that's the point. You got to go in there and see what the fraud is and the waste is. And for something like the Department of Education, people like me have wanted that cut for a very long time now, right? For other
Yeah, it
reasons,
sucks.
not just for the fraud
Yeah.
use. I just think the whole structure is messed up. But for yeah, I mean, some thought has to go into it. But there was a headline, I was just trying to pull it up that made sense. Think about it. It's only been 3 months, and we got rid of the Department of Education. That's an incredible thing. In 3 months' time, think of all this guy has done, including he got rid of the Department of Education. Now, you may not like it, or maybe it's not something, but you can't ever say he didn't do anything as president.
Yeah.
He definitely, made some major changes, said he was going to do it, and he's doing it.
Well, the big ones,
So,
if he can close this Ukraine war, if he can end this within the next couple months, next month or two, I mean,
Yep.
that would be, I mean, then you might have to talk about, you might have to throw him in the greatest president of all time, like Mount Rushmore level president right there. To do that in the first 6 months of his presidency, if he can do it. But yeah, so.
I believe he will do it because
Oh.
he will cut off funding for it. Go ahead.
Shadow.
something?
Yeah, someone wanted to ask a question. We kind of, so the way we like doing this is like, oh, I thought you were raising your hand, Shadow Samurai. I thought you were raising your hand to ask a question. People just throw in emojis and stuff sometimes, which is fine. We're paying attention. It's, again, we tend to ramble a little before we ask questions to people. But sorry, Mom, what were you saying?
No, Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I mean, I think we will see the end because once you cut off funding or you start limiting it, Trump has already made it clear we're not just handing you money. You're either going to give us something in exchange, and we're going to do it in concert with talking with the other side, which they blow their heads up. How can you talk to Putin? You can't talk to Putin.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have to talk
You
to
can't.
Putin.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and we're back, and we're frozen. Here we go. No, it's fine. It's fine. Does anyone have any questions about what we're talking about while Mother fixes her issue? No, it's okay, Shadow. Don't worry about it. That's why we're here. Let's see. I'm gonna hit Mom with the. Might have to restart your computer. It's okay. But yeah. See, it's starting to hit me playing golf at 7:30 this morning. That was pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. So it's starting to hit me a bit, boys, and we still got a lot to go through. Look at that. This is the first time we've ever had these kind of technical difficulties, but yeah. Oh, so to answer your question, Shadow, while we're waiting. So the way I chose my profile picture was someone actually, I looked up cartoon pancakes, and this lady did almost like a drawing class. So I drew it freehand and then redid it. It took me a month because I had no computer skills. So at least when it came to like drawing and text and whatnot, before I started editing. So then I basically just rebuilt it, and then I tried to match the colors as best as I could. But I knew I had to make it a little different because otherwise copyright. So that's why, like if you were to find the original image, which I don't even know if it's on the internet anymore, the colors are slightly different. Like enough where if you were looking at them like this, like if you were like, whoa, whoa, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. But if you put them right next to each other, you would tell that the colors are slightly off. So, yeah, I basically freehanded it for the most part. So, yeah. See, normally we show the articles, guys, but because we're doing dual and I have to do vertical and horizontal, if I set it up, it's just going to mess up the format. There we go. I don't know why I've struggled with that. So, yeah. See, the way I would do it, and I don't know if OBS will actually let you, but I'd like to make it so that it's just automatically cropped. So maybe I'll do that one of these days and just see if it'll auto crop so we don't have to do this. And then I could put in the center of the article. Anyone concerned by the union of top multi-billionaires taking the Trump side in order to push a massive AI takeover? Well, I think no matter who it is, they're gonna end up. Oh, there's mother. No
I'm
matter who
back.
it
Sorry.
is, they're going to. Yeah, sure. We did a little question early while you were waiting. So someone said, anyone concerned by the union of top multi-billionaires taking the Trump side in order to push a massive AI takeover? See, I think even if Trump wasn't in there, they'd do the same thing. Like if it was Biden, they'd probably try as well. That's how big AI is. But we always have this conversation. Whoever gets the first major AI, that's what's going to be that's what's going to be the world superpower. That's going to be the difference between, like, if we have first worlds now, like you have the big ones, which are US, Israel, Russia, China. Whoever gets to number one in AI is going to be that much higher. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, the more capabilities you have, um, the more that you can dominate. But I just don't know how long do you think that would be when one country or one nation gets to it before another one catches up? I don't think it's going to be long
It's gonna
before.
no, it's gonna be very like this. It's gonna be like, and then one day, mom, it's gonna be like this. That's the problem with these AIs. One of them
Right.
is gonna go, "Poof," and then we have a problem, and we just have to hope it's America.
Can I segue from the AI into my AI article?
Well, does anyone have any questions? We'll keep the segues. Do we have any questions about what we've talked about so far? Just so that we don't get bombarded at the end with other things that we have to remember what we talked about.
That's
So
okay.
we'll give
Either
it a
way.
few. Yeah. Bernie Sanders has been talking about this growing problem for years and has mentioned that oligarchy will be destructive for working class. Yeah, Bernie Sanders belongs in a home, but whatever. Bernie Sanders
Yeah.
is way too old to be making. He doesn't even know what internet is. No, I don't know if that's true, but no, I mean, all joking aside, there is something to what he says. It's just all of his other policies kind of make you go, this guy's kind of too old for this. The
I'm
social.
still waiting for an apology from Bernie Sanders for the absolutely repulsive singer that he had at a
Oh, I
recent event
forgot about that. Yeah.
bashing my religion that, in my opinion, I wish even Muslims would stand up and say, how dare you do that? How dare you? I don't know if he made an apology and it didn't make it into the mainstream. I don't know, but I'm still waiting for it. So I had a certain degree of tolerance for Bernie Sanders and his policies. I mean, he's a communist, but it's another voice. Now, I'm a hardliner now. I'm really getting sick of it. It's getting extreme. I had something sent to me, and I know not everybody that listens to you is religious, and I respect that you're not, but I think we really have to pause here and say people are crossing a line when it comes to other people's religions. And I'm not just saying my own. We respect Muhammad, we respect don't say this, don't say that. And, aside from that, kind of interesting, there was a story this week how the Communist Party is putting out pictures of the Uyghurs eating lunch during Ramadan. Okay? Talk about sticking a knife in these people. I mean, where's the outrage from the Muslims around the world for these poor people? Even I feel badly for them, and I'm not Muslim. And that's their faith, and you're forcing them. And then you're putting it on the internet to prove to people that what, you're dominant or that we don't starve them, but haha, we're going to make them eat when they're not supposed to be. I just think it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
So for people like, everybody laughs off, oh, Bernie Sanders, he's a goofy guy, whatever. You know what? It was too far. And as a politician, I'm sure he has many Catholics in his district, he's a senator, but in his state, he should speak up and apologize for that. That was beyond acceptable, in my opinion.
Okay. Damn. I think we got that one, Blue Ninja. Someone clip it.
Yeah.
Clip it. Yeah. So, what did you want to segue into, Mom?
Well,
Doesn't
you
seem like
mentioned
you.
AI. So
Yeah.
one of my articles today was about, it's
Yeah.
called drug repurposing.
Yeah. Let me read it, just because since we're doing the live, I can't. They can't see it. So,
Okay, well, I can give you the breakdown.
sure.
It's a
So the
story of
title
Joseph
is
Coe.
Doctors Told Him He Was Going to Die, Then AI Saved His Life. Scientists are using machine learning to find new treatments among thousands of old medicines. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm always not anti AI, but scared, skeptical, and anxious about it. This is a positive AI story. So this individual, Joseph Coates, he had a very rare blood disorder. It was called POEMS syndrome. Okay. He was dying very quickly. Normally, you can treat it with stem cell therapy, but he was beyond that. His girlfriend at the time, they had gone to a summit about rare diseases, and he was so far along that she contacted one of the doctors at this summit, who, and I wrote his name down. His name is David Fagenbaum. She contacted him, told him the situation. He goes and he sends a prescription to the doctor's treating this Mr. Coase, of chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and steroids. Sounds crazy. Within 1 week, he was responding to treatment. 4 months, he could do the stem cell therapy, and today, or stem cell transplant, today he's in full remission.
Wow.
How did they do this? So they're using AI to take already approved drugs and repurposing them to solve some mysterious diseases that they never knew that it could work.
Yeah, this was the initial point of AI. This was like literally the whole point of it. Go ahead.
Right. So they're using AI to find alternate drugs. It's called drug repurposing. They've done this before. It's not new, but AI is speeding it up. And still the doctors are involved because AI will spit out. So for instance, they can use another example. There was an individual who had uncontrollable vomiting. They could not stop vomiting. They've tried everything to help this person.
I could use that right now.
AI,
I have a gala on Thursday I have to get into a suit for.
they give like 10 things. It's in the article, but 10 or 11 things of what you could possibly do. So the doctors then had to go in and say, all right, what's realistic? You can't just say, try everything AI says. Do you know what finally worked? One of the things that kept coming up, sniffing rubbing alcohol. It worked automatically.
Oh, really?
No one would have thought of that. Yeah, I don't know. They don't go into detail about it. But with people who have rare diseases is anybody less than 200,000 people in the United States. Now, that could still be, rare disease could be millions and millions of people, and it is, especially around the world. But to spend the time and money researching each one of those diseases is not going to happen, or that gets very little funding. So by using drugs that already exist, you don't have to rely on pharmaceutical companies to do the research, to create the drug for, 200, however many hundred thousands of different rare diseases there are out there. Instead, they use AI to say, well, maybe we can figure something out now. And the story goes into, the article talks about other situations where that's happened, things where they couldn't find any other solution. It doesn't always work. Some people, it's too late or the combination didn't work. But when you see stories like this and you realize, I'm like, okay, good. That's a positive for AI. Like you said, that's what you want it for, right? Go in, figure out solve a problem like that.
Well, when AI first came out, like when it really started, when OpenAI talked about it, it was, we're going to fix coding. It's going to be designed for fixing coding and medical advancements. And we just hit both of those. Like now we're officially at the point where we had an article last week. I forget if we talked about it on the podcast or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but basically they're at the point where 90% of code in coding companies are like, you don't, it's built by AI. So you don't need, so I guess people don't really know if you're not a coder, the way that these companies run codes, and my cousin's husband works in this field. Basically, they have a library of code that they use. So it's a library that every day they're like, oh, I'm going to need this. Let me pull it and move it to whatever project I'm moving on or working on. Now the AI is just, we don't need this library anymore. I just type in a prompt and it's done. So the idea of having a robot, of having a library and then you doing the coding is pretty much gone. So coders, they got maybe 3 more years left, maybe 5 the max, before you're going to start seeing that workforce really shrink down to just the best of the best.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for college kids, because that means that when you go for a degree, you not only have to get that degree, but you have to be the best in your field amongst all the colleges for coding, right? Isn't that kind of crazy to think about?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the American way, that's what motivates people to advance, and it's to some extent survival of the fittest. The best jobs was always, you had the best education, went to the best school, blah 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 blah. That was the trail. Yeah, there's a certain amount of personality that comes into it, and that doesn't mean that if you come from an Ivy League school, you're better than somebody who comes from a state school.
Right.
We're not finding that's true anymore, right?
Yeah.
From what we're exposing with these
Yeah.
other
Right.
tools. But at the end of the day, that's always been the American way. If you work hard, you'll succeed. And if you want to be the best in what you
Tell that
do,
to
you got to
YouTube,
work
Mom.
hard.
Tell that to YouTube. I'm waiting.
It's true.
No,
I mean,
but hold on.
yeah,
Can I
it's
take you the other way? Maybe just because. Let me take you the other way. Maybe it doesn't matter how good your degree is because they just need someone to do the absolute basics because the AI is going to do the rest.
well, now that's true.
Yeah.
That's
So that's what I mean. So maybe you don't. Does it? So I guess the question is going to be: does this mean that the people with the best degrees are going to do better in the workforce, or does it mean that society is going to be? You don't really need that degree anymore. You just have to do the basics, and AI will do the rest.
well, let me put it to you this way. You can have a Harvard degree and work on a factory line,
That's
right?
true.
But you can't necessarily, I'm not saying it's not true, it's much harder for someone in a factory line to leave that job and be the CFO of the company,
Yeah.
right? So that's why it's always been true. It's a universal truth. They can't take education away from you. You know, the more you know, that's like money, or would say, for lack of a better term, money in your pocket of anything. You know, the smarter you are at something, that's valuable, but it has to translate into the job. So I'd like now. There's a lot of people who say I know plenty of Harvard people who can't work on a factory line. That's true. They're too lofty. They can't wrap their heads around it. Right? They can't do the basics. But like for coding, if you have an advanced degree in coding, you could do the basics. You could do data input. Right? You didn't need that advanced degree,
Right.
and that seems to be where the job is going.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually it's going to be phased out. Like what you're saying is going to be
Yeah,
phased
there's
out.
not everything's gonna end up like this. The amount of stuff that can be phased out tomorrow, because we're at that point, like literally tomorrow, should be scaring people a little more. Like bank tellers, you really don't need those. You probably feels like you probably haven't need bank tellers in a decade, but now it's like okay, we could start getting rid of some of these.
Right.
So and self checkouts. I don't know why they even bother with any other forms of self checkout or of checking out at a store. Like you really don't need the people at that cashier's spot, the registers. You don't really need them.
You do and you don't because there is still human error involved, and there's theft, right? If the machines can pick
You
that up,
think,
that's
hold on,
fine. But
you think that AI is not going to check for theft? Have you ever seen
well,
the Amazon store?
oh, I know, but you remember what that turned out to be? It wasn't AI. It was a camera
Oh, that's
scanning it and
right. It was a bunch of remember, like,
aliens
yeah,
doing
it
it.
was like Indians at the same time trying to.
But that's not to say they can't going
That's funny.
forward do a better system and upgrade and whatnot. But I, it's it's great if you could do that. Some people would really like it. Me personally, and again, it's a generational thing. I don't mind doing my own checking out. For me in New Jersey with the bagging and everything, I used to go to the store and it was a nice experience. It's not a nice experience anymore, and they wonder why people do everything online. I got to cart it around myself. I got to bag it myself. In the old days when I was a little kid, my mother didn't do anything.
You know,
It was all
yeah.
wanted a bag. Somebody bagged it. They put it in your cart. Sometimes they would even take it out to your car for you.
What's
Certain
funny
stores.
is back in New Jersey, I didn't see this very often, but maybe you see it because you shop more. But the car line outside of my Harris Teeter of people getting their groceries given to them it's a long line. I'm like, given I'm not shopping for a family, but uh, it's just like there's more people on this line than there are. It would be faster for you just to walk in and get it and then pay for it at the thing. But self checkout helps
That
with
was
avoiding
from the
awkward human encounters.
that was from the COVID days, right? When they did the
Yeah,
pull up.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it never went away. You didn't have that before COVID. They didn't
Mm.
do that. So COVID forced all these stores to do on. You can order it. Now I will say this: I think there's something to be said for it. If you're a working parent and you need to go to the food store, and I could sit in my lunch hour, wink, wink, someone maybe do it during the day, but and do all my grocery shopping online, and then I just on my way home, I pull in and they put it in. That's a tremendous time saver, tremendous, and I can see the benefits to that. Do people abuse it? Sure. There's a lot of people I think. But I'm somebody who I don't shop. You know this when you guys are little. I don't shop on weekends if I can help it. I don't go to the food stores in the evenings because I feel like I was not a working mom. I was a stay-at-home mom. So it was better for me because it was less crowded. And why do you have to go? You know, if you could go to the thing, why are you going when everybody else is
Let's
going
go. Yeah.
after work and stuff? It just crowds things up. It doesn't help me at all.
You,
So
you know what I'm waiting for AI to do? I'm waiting for them to get to the point where we don't need the freaking barcodes anymore. There's nothing worse than when you're doing self checkout and you're trying to find the goddamn barcode and you're trying to scan it.
yeah,
Imagine if it was just one scanner, it just knew automatically the box Cheerios. This
yeah.
brand, we're gonna get to that point. Then you don't need these checkout people because then you just have the conveyor belt. It just goes by and it's like Cheerios, grapes, Jif peanut butter, chips. Done. I'm in there. I'm out.
You know, I think barcodes are amazing because I'm from a different lifetime where they used to punch in each key number for each product. You know, 5 or 6 numbers, and the price, and then you ring it up.
like a like a
Yeah,
degenerate
that old.
gambler.
Yeah, just that old.
Slots.
I think it's fascinating because when I do stuff like on eBay, the fact that they can zap an envelope, money gets paid, things get sent out, the person gets contacted, your thing's on the way, all because of a barcode. I think that's incredible, and I think it's amazing. I mean, you really can be a total idiot and work at a cashier. You really can. It does not require.
It's true.
That's
It's
the thing.
true. I know a lot. I know a lot of idiots.
Yeah. The best is when you see a young person trying to make change, right?
Yeah,
Like,
hold on, I can't speak on that because even I kind of f that up sometimes. Because my brain, like the one thing that I still struggle with, Mom, is when you remember. I don't even know the situation where you do it, but you say, "Oh, let me give you a penny to
yeah.
get." I don't know what you're doing there. I'm like, what is this black magic that you just got a dollar bill back?
Don't admit this to me. Don't admit it.
I have to see it on paper because I'm a visual person. I have to see what you're doing there because when you do it, you'll do it in seconds. Like today, I went to lunch with Justin and I couldn't do the percentages. So luckily here in New Bern, they give you the, it tells you what it is. So I do I just multiple. If they don't give me the thing, I just do times 22%. But I mean, like there are people that could just quickly do that and go, and I go, what?
Right.
So I just
Well, I
don't
don't
give
know
a
if you
tip. I'm at that
remember.
point. I just don't tip.
I don't know if you remember. I should pull it out. It's right there in the closet right now because I kept it. You had a money tray, Melissa and David. It was a wooden, and it was like life-size money. And when you guys had that play table here in the basement, every now and then I would make you guys like go shopping with the cash register, and you'd have to make change because that was always a big thing.
I
When
don't
I was
remember
younger,
that.
we had. Oh, you don't remember?
I don't. I
We had
remember
to
the
make
table,
change.
but yeah.
Yeah, we had to when in old school you had to make change when people use cash. Young people today, and I understand, nobody uses cash. Everything is the Apple Wallet or, it's all
Debit.
electronic or credit cards. They don't want. But the irony is now they're charging for you to use a credit card,
I
right?
know. That's why I'm always like, ah, crap. I forget what I paid for the other day. Someone said, I haven't seen cash in a while. I was like, really? So,
And no, it's true. And very few like I do now when I remember my hair place charges and they like getting cash, cash is king. But they try to phase that out and then they shoot themselves in the foot because now you're telling people, well, you have to use your credit card and it's going to cost you more
more.
to do it. Excuse me, I'm not stupid. That's back to that. I'm not an idiot. Now, some people, they'd rather pay the percentage than go get cash out of an ATM. But it's getting exorbitant, some of these extra percentages they're putting on there, where it's, the bigger your bill, obviously, the more you're going to pay. And going out.
Oh, there we go again. Bye, Mom. I don't know why she's having this problem. I wonder if it's, I don't think it's a Discord problem. It's got to be the home internet must be pretty spotty. Poor Mom. But I was about to say something. Yeah, I went, like, to my mom's point, I went to go park today at like those parking lot things where it's like, oh, just scan here and it'll pay. It was $2. I looked at it and I went, nah, I'll go park across the street. I love using cash because it feels nice to see something with value and see it add up and subtract from your real world wallet. Yeah, I get that. I still use cash for a lot of things. I don't use it as much. I definitely do The way my thing's kind of set up, so I have two credit cards. I have my main one, and then I have one that has like a $500 limit on it. The one that's the $500 limit does all my subscription based stuff, like my Restream, my Game Pass, and that's really it. That's the only reoccurring payments I have. So I think. Oh, and my gym membership. So with that, I keep that on there, and then my bigger one's all my groceries and stuff and fun things. So that's how I kind of navigate it, I guess you can say. Let's see if mom fixed it. User may be having trouble connecting to the call. There we go.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, people.
No, I think it's a spotty internet at your place. Dad must be doing something.
I don't know. That's not doing anything. I'm watching the tower. It was just flashing green, and now it's steady white. I don't know if it's what's going on with it.
Which tower is that? Oh, that's the yeah. So you guys must be having it.
One behind me. I think we only have one left. That's our internet.
If it makes you feel any better, the reason that probably is because I know a lot of the internet companies right now are doing all their updates. So I know, like 2 days ago, our Optimum was down for a few, and then. I know.
All right, we might want to track that next time we do a live.
Yeah, didn't realize that. I thought that was just in our city, but then someone else mentioned to me today, who's in a different state, who was like, "Yeah, they're doing my internet as well." So these dang solar flares.
If it freezes again, I'm gonna look at the tower and see if it starts flashing green.
Yeah,
or something
see if it does something different. Yeah.
Yeah. So making changes, it's important, but. If we start going back to a cash society, but it makes a difference, and then you really test the abilities of young people. I always like watching them when I hand them the extra money and say, "You have to give me back a $5," just
you gotta, yeah. When I've seen mom do that multiple times, and mom's like, "No, you gotta give me this and this." Yeah. But also, it's people that don't even really want to be there who are trying to make change, or they're high coming into work, right? Unfortunately, that's a lot of cashiers.
And it's sad too, when I do have a young person who automatically knows, I think this kid's a genius.
Yeah.
He's top.
This guy's going places. He's going to get that manager job real soon. He's 14.
That was basic knowledge when I was a kid. Every teenager knew, because you all worked after, especially people that, didn't necessarily go to college. They knew that was what they're going to do after high school. They worked at a register, so you had to know how to do it anyhow.
Yep, I can't. I'll do it if you give it to me, but I'm doing it with a calculator. I do everything with my calculator now.
Your grandma's the one who taught me the trick of sometimes the cash registers will tell you the change, and if people give you more money, just add it to it, and then that tells you how much to get back. So it's just a tricky thing, but they don't even do that anymore.
See, if I can't visualize it, that made no sense to me. I have to see what you mean. That's where my visual generation comes in.
Well, it's also one of these things where a need to know basis. If you worked at a cash register, Chris, or if it was your business, you learn pretty damn fast how it works, right? Because you just don't.
Oh yeah. If I was doing it every day, I'd figure it out. Right. But yeah,
you definitely would learn.
See, when you get to the point where you don't even have to check how much money you're spending anymore, because it's just like drops in a bucket, drops in a pond.
I'm personally thinking a 22% tip, they better be wiping your mouth in between each bites for you.
Oh, did I say 22%? That was the height. That was the high one. And then the low. Okay. Yeah. No, because 22 was the top, so that's why my brain went to it. But yeah. So, yeah, 22% is pretty. I want to be nice, I guess. I paid the 22%, guys. High rolling.
I think it's
yeah. Just for you to walk the damn food out to me? Come on.
I know that's them digesting it for you.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite is the food trucks that come. They ask for a tip. I'm like, lady, you literally just grabbed the food that guy made, turned around, and gave it to me. You want a tip for that?
Yeah, it's getting out of hand with the tips. Every cash register has a tip bucket there, and I appreciate the fact that people are working, but tips are meant for a reason. You don't own the company, and you're going above and beyond what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, 22% is a lot, almost a quarter just for existing. That's kind of true. 20, yeah. Again, I'm just such a nice guy. No, but yeah, so like I think of Martha's in Lake George, like all those girls were using those tips to pay for their colleges, right?
Yeah.
And they were actually
Well, they
doing
did
so. Yeah,
that.
they were doing their stuff, like actually running around. Remember watching all the college girls running around or high school running around to get like that was work. Watching freaking Amanda today try and go from literally here to over there to grab my food and bring it over.
Right.
I mean, yeah, 22 is kind of crazy.
The
Yes.
only reason why I
Yes,
do
Arctic.
tips, the only reason why I do tips for something like that is if I'm making special requests, like could you take the tomatoes off? Could you add extra sauce? Could you?
Well, good thing
And
because
if
that's
you,
what Justin did today. He was like, no tomato, and I need a specific type of cheese. I was like, okay. I made fun of him a little bit for it.
all right, so you throw an extra dollar in, but you're right. If they're just giving you what they're being paid for the food, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel bad not giving a tip for that. I also don't like mandated tips
Oh,
because
don't even get me started. Miami. Freaking when I go down to Miami with Kenny, I told you this story. When I visited for the first time, I was like, man, all this stuff's super expensive. And then I'm doing the $15 tip on, or the 15% tip. Kenny goes, oh, you don't have to tip. On the last day, after I've paid for like all the meals, he goes, oh, you don't have to tip because there's already one built in. I was like, what, what do you mean?
yeah.
I made,
And
oh, that sounds good.
and I'm not crazy about that because you know I'm not against serving people getting a
Yeah.
tip, but if I'm somebody who busts her ass to get that 20%, and now you just turn around and mandate it for everybody, well, why am I going to bust my ass anymore? I'm going to get it automatically.
I don't mind if you add the tip automatically. I just mind that you're not telling me and then you're adding another tip in case I want to give more because you're not
right.
telling me. So that's where I go, oh, I'm never going to tip. If I lived in Miami, I would never tip.
Well, you don't have
You don't
to.
tip
That's
here
the
in Europe.
point.
Yeah, that's
Because
beauty
it's
of Europe.
built in. You don't have to because it's built in.
Yeah.
And some people don't mind that because they don't want to deal with, the calculations and all that stuff. Just put it right on there and, everybody's happy. But that's not the point of the tip. Then you might as well just call it a surcharge or an extra charge because a tip is supposed to be above and beyond.
Right.
And also they made it easy sticking it on the credit card, and that goes back to everybody pays with credit cards. When you pay with cash, or it used to be people wanted their tips in cash because they didn't always claim all their tips or their taxes. You didn't have to. Now, I think within the last decade, people in the service industry, they're supposed to claim their tips. So now it's on credit cards, and the employer reports it because it's part of the doing the business. It was just always, tips were meant for a purpose. You went above and beyond, and people were generous. But you also have the cheap ones too, and they don't tip, and that's where the other side of it, where at least they're getting their 20% because it's built in. So
Right. You don't even show taxes on grocery stores. It's not shown, but it's built in. Or it is shown. I've just never noticed.
no, only certain things are taxed. So there's no tax usually on food. If you buy milk or if you
Oh,
buy
yeah. Right.
whatnot, they don't tax that. They'll tax paper plates, or they'll tax anything usually non-edible stuff, maybe napkins and stuff like that.
As I said, guys, I don't look at the receipts.
I know. I was going to say, what the hell's going on down there in North Carolina?
No,
Miami?
I just didn't realize that. I've never looked at the if there's a tax on there or not. I just pay the thing. But again, it's just a drop in an ocean, ma.
You really need to shop with Michael because he scrutinizes everything to his credit. I'm not saying he's the best shopper in terms of what he gets, but if he's paying a lot for something, he knows he's paying it.
Yeah, but the gas points work it anyway. Like if I'm getting my gas points, my teat points as I call them, sucking from the teat as we call it, then it's worth it to go do. Like I don't know how the point system really works. I thought I had it figured out, but all I know is I'm getting 20 cents off per gallon, which is amazing. So
you can't make freaking change. How are you going to figure out how to?
I'm like Rayman in there. Yeah. Like I'm at the, I'm again. We talked about this when you were here, but like when I'm getting stuff and people are by me, I'll look at because I'm watching my calories now. They're like, "This kid's so healthy." I'm like, not healthy, not a little too healthy for me, and I put it back.
Yeah, I'm not eating the chai seeds. They're not that great.
Yeah. All right. I know this is. We went from AI to taxes to whatever, but how about this woman that can smell Parkinson's? Now, this lady's been pretty famous for a while. They made a whole.
Do you know hear of her?
I know of her, but I don't know her name and stuff. But yeah, she went pretty viral. Not viral, but a long time ago they did a bunch of almost like a little History Channel documentary that did pretty well.
I didn't even know that. This
Yeah,
is the first I've heard of Joy Milne, who was she's 75 years old, a former nurse in Australia. Um, she can smell Parkinson's in people and
it's
on their
amazing.
clothing, and she's pretty darn accurate, I got to tell you. She's been working with Professor Perdita Barron, I love that name, from the University of Manchester, that's in England. Usually, Parkinson's is diagnosed late in life when a person's in their 60s to
Yeah.
80s, and by then their symptoms are pretty pronounced. She can test, if you don't do it her way, the traditional way is they have to test your spinal fluid, and you usually have an abnormal
Oof.
amount of protein in there, right?
Oof. I'm just
So,
thinking of the spinal fluid because I've seen the videos of the spinal tap.
yep,
Oof.
yeah, not pleasant. Um, so the because of this partnership and working with her now, they're trying to find other ways to benefit by doing skin tests and whatnot. So
Right.
they use Joy, her abilities to identify these individuals, and from that they can do tests and whatnot to see what's different about that person, skin tests and whatnot. And they're trying to do it with dogs. The problem with it, as we all know, is there's no cure for it. So people say, well, that's great. Guess what? You're going to have Parkinson's someday. Well, that can be devastating news to somebody, right? Um, when you ask some people in the article, they said, when we asked some of the people who have been diagnosed and suffer from it, they said, it would have helped us a lot because it would have given us some understanding of what was going on with us as they were getting to that point when you
That
get the other symptoms.
that reminds me of. Do you remember when Chris Hemsworth did that? They did like a health check on him.
Yeah,
Remember? And
yeah,
they're like, "Yeah, you're more than likely gonna have Alzheimer's." And he's just like, "Oh,
right,
I gotta stand up and
right.
take a walk because there's no cure." I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's well now we have the preventative, right? The intermittent fasting that we talked about, which might help. But
Well, and it's back to AI
take
as we're
creatine to
learning
fight Parkinson's. I don't
things that
think,
didn't have.
yeah, I don't think we have definitive studies on that Arctic. I have heard that before. To take creatine to prevent Parkinson's. I don't believe that. I'd have to look at it. It's been a while since I've seen studies on that, but I don't think they've ever actually proven a correlation. They think that there's a correlation, but I don't
Oh,
know.
let me interject here.
Right.
Before I came on the podcast, I was going through my, there was a science article. I can't verify the validity, but they are seeing a deficiency in Parkinson's patients in the gut biome. We're back to that gut thing again. And they really see a riboflavin and a vitamin B deficiency to the point where they think they will be able to cure some of the symptoms just by doing infusions with vitamin Bs in certain ways. I'm simplifying it,
Yeah.
but everything goes back to that gut biome. So much of our immune system and our makeup comes from what we eat and
Yeah.
keeping sensitive.
I've come to the conclusion that diet is everything. But real fast, Mom. While creatine has showed promise in improving mitochondrial function and may offer neuroprotective effects in animal models, current evidence does not define or definitely support creatine as a preventative or curative treatment for Parkinson's disease in humans. So, in concept, it's great because creatine is great for the brain. We do know that. We just don't know if it prevents or protects from Parkinson's or
Well, but
Alzheimer's.
there is something to it because one of the things they identify in Parkinson's is the mitochondrial, it sort of breaks down.
Yeah.
And that's why so many of them are so tired and fatigued.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that deficiency in a particular vitamin. I don't know how
Well, I
creatine
love.
fits
Yeah, I
that
love.
problem.
I take creatine pretty much every day. So I love creatine. I just don't know if. I mean, I think they're seeing more correlation in those Zins than they are seeing in creatine with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Well, just by being able to identify it earlier gives you the opportunity. Now they say we can, if somebody has it and they're willing to be told that you will have, or you have
Yeah.
Parkinson's or it's been developed, you can now look for markers in that person and start to identify what the trigger might be.
Especially now
So
that we're
now,
getting closer to gene editing. Now that we're getting close to gene editing, it might be
right,
great.
right, and with AI, now we're bringing in drugs that could treat early symptoms that maybe could turn around the progression of some of these diseases. What's interesting about her is she can smell other stuff, and she created her own library when she was younger. So she started sniffing people with tuberculosis. And she has it's
How
called
Can you?
Hyper.
What would you
Yeah.
do, Mom, if you were on the street and some lady came up to me and she's like, "I smell tuberculosis on you." What would you say to her? Get away from me, crazy lady.
You would think they're crazy, but she
Yeah.
does it in a controlled
Yeah.
environment. She won't sniff shirts anymore in the mail. People send her shirts and everything. She could do it, but she feels it's unethical because it's becoming like like a fast food thing where it just doesn't think it's right to be.
Really?
But she has been very accurate with it.
No, good for her. That's pretty awesome.
Well, it's an amazing thing. It's called I wrote it down somewhere. Hyper osmosia, and I thought of hyper, yeah, osmosia, a sense of smell heightened to the point of a superpower. And I was thinking of my friend who can smell roaches when she walks into an apartment. Some people just have this ability to sense it. Maybe more people. She noticed it in her husband because his smell, like his musk
Changed, right?
smell.
Yeah, I've heard that
He
story.
actually died from
Yeah.
Parkinson's. But that's how she met this doctor. She got involved in it and met this individual, and she even went up to somebody at some symposium and said, "Why aren't you doing more with smell to
Ooh,
treat people?"
very interesting. So, my dad has Parkinson's, but from meds because he is a schizophrenic. So if I say take CBD, even if it's an antipsychotic, I don't think he's going to take it. So when it comes to seizures and a lot of brain things, like I've heard stories of kids that would have seizures, take CBD, and their seizures like went away. So that's another medication, if you want to call it that, that I do think that there are correlations to, but I don't think it's completely considered a preventative or a fix yet. I
Yeah,
think,
the symptom,
yeah,
not the disease. So if
right,
you're
right,
having
right.
the
That's kind of
symptom,
like, sorry, that's like when people, one of my biggest pet peeves in the medical world is the cortisol shots, right? When you tear something and someone gives you cortisol and they're like, oh, the pain goes away. And then you can go back to like heavy lifting. You're not fixing the problem. You're just taking the pain away. So when you're still doing the damage if you're still chest pressing or shoulder pressing 70s. So, but there is a lot of benefits to CBD. I know a lot of people that take CBD.
and similar to that, there's something called Librela now for dogs. Since our dog is now 11 and he's had 2 CCLs on his back legs, he's slowing down. He can't run as well as he used to. He still can
I
trot,
call him
but
Saquon
not as.
Barkley.
Yes, I was leaning to see if he's down here because I don't want to insult him while he's
Yeah.
here. But when I asked the vet about the Librela, it does just that. She says it works miracles because they act like they're puppies again. But you have to be careful, as orthopedist had said to me, you have to be careful because it's a mental blocker. So they still have weak legs, but they don't feel it.
Right.
And they can really do damage if they run like crazy and don't feel the pain. Pain is there for a reason. So that's why I've been a little bit like, they said you can give them that if they're in a lot of pain. It helps them to move and they don't feel it. It's quality of life. But you can't let them do the things they used to do just because they think they can.
So I was watching the Fighter and the Kid podcast with Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub, and Brendan Schaub tore his bicep lifting something.
Yeah.
And one of his friends was like, take blue scorpion venom, which apparently is an anti-inflammatory. Yeah, it's complete bullshit. They actually disproved it on the show. The guy's a bullshitter. But he was taking something along with a bunch of other things, and he's like, oh, I did a full workout today with normal weights that I would normally do. Yeah. But even still, you have a torn bicep. Like, you're just going to do more damage to it. So that's why it's like, can't walk around at all. I think I'm sorry to hear that, Arctic Snow, but I think it's because of the neuroplectics. Neuroleptics, not plectics.
And unfortunately, Chris, for some people, they don't have a solution for, like our neighbor. She was having such terrible, more sciatica type pains that goes down the back of her leg. There was nothing they can do. And now she goes for epidural shots. And that's the second person I've heard, but they can live without pain. She can move, she can do what she needs to. It'll wear off after a few months. But, thank God you don't know what it's like to live with chronic pain.
You don't know my pain, mother.
Yeah, it's your mother right now, because you tell me.
If I pull my back, I'm on the gun, right? But isn't sciatica? Tell me if I'm wrong. Sciatica is like cysts in the joints, right?
No, sciatica is the nerve that runs all the way down your back and down your leg. So when you have sciatica pain, it's usually in your. You should know very well because I've only had sciatica once in my life, and that's when I was pregnant with you because you kept
Don't
leaning
blame
on my
me.
back nerve. Okay, you
Don't
big
blame
fat ass
me.
back nerve, and it
Don't
was
blame your
so
favorite
uncomfortable.
son.
Right, it was so uncomfortable, and you can't take anything. You
But
can't take pain
so
meds.
it's from something pushing on the nervous system?
Well, there's a particular nerve, the sciatic nerve, that runs all the way down. Now, people have for different reasons. Like you're someone we both know has been talking about the sciatica pain. She's referring more to the area where it is. It might be like a pinched sciatic nerve or something like that, or something leaning on it. Like in my case, it was a baby leaning on it and it caused discomfort. For other people, it's just that area. It could be, could be the spinal column and it radiates down that nerve. Until you really do some research and figure it out, you don't really know. And that's when you have to start that whole process going through an orthopedist and they check your spine and whatnot. So in my case, obviously, I was fine after the pressure was off it. After your big ass was off my sciatic nerve.
Don't say it like that, Ma.
It is very uncomfortable. Like I was lucky; it was just like for a few months, but you can't sit, you can't. It's just awful.
Someone said I grew poppies one time in my parents' yard, so I got morphine. I don't even know how you get. Can you just buy poppy seeds? I don't even know. Like maybe it's different in Europe, but yeah.
Well, poppy seeds aren't. They're not illegal because they put poppy seeds in
Oh,
lemon
that's right.
muffin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do that. You have to create the drugs out of them. It's not just
yeah.
the poppy seeds making the drug.
Um, I don't know. I mean,
You gotta go full on Breaking Bad. The
yeah,
trailer and
yeah, yeah, yeah. I still haven't seen Breaking Bad. Um, do we want to go? And so, do we have any questions before we move on about diseases in the medical industry or whatever?
questions or
Yeah,
comments.
questions or comments, and then I don't know. We might drop the. I don't really want to drop the Congress has the tools to stop rogue judges from. I am interested in it, but
Oh, I threw that in only because I didn't know if you were going to talk about that today, since that's been a big deal. But we don't have to go into it.
well, if it's a big deal, we might as well. Don't have really morphine. You have to grow the plant. Oh, gotcha. Interesting. No, we can start with that. We can go back to that one. So Congress has the tools to stop rogue judges from overriding Trump's agenda. I did not read this article, so you might have to give me the.
Yeah, I give you the breakdown. But what I just wanted to do, and I don't know if your listeners care, but I thought this was kind of interesting. We have in our country we have a state court system and a federal court system.
Mhm.
And all these rogue judges that we're talking about is the federal court system.
Yeah.
The federal court system is the bottom of that is your U.S. district courts. There are 89 of those. There's at least one U.S. district court in every state. They usually have a jury. They're the judges are usually appointed by the president. I think most of the judges, if not all, in the federal court system, they're appointed. They don't get elected. So from the U.S. District Court, it goes up to the U.S. Court of Appeals. There are 11 of those in our country, and they're district wide. Like there's the one out west, there's one in the Northeast, and they're carved up. And then from there, it goes up to the Supreme Court. So right now, and the issue that's been going on in our country is all these U.S. District Court judges are issuing injunctions on a federal level with President Trump's executive orders, right? Things that he's planning to do. One, it wasn't even an executive order. The recent sending of the criminals, alien criminals, to El Salvador, and this district judge said, "Nope, you got to bring them back and bring them back to the country." And the president was using an actual act that goes back to the time of Thomas Jefferson, the Alien Act. So it's not as though it's an executive order. He's actually doing something that is within the constitutional right to do it. The issue they're having is district courts are deciding something for the whole country, and they're issuing an injunction. Now, this has been a problem that's been going on for about 10 years, and some of the Supreme Court justices have made comments about it over the years, how this has to stop. It's getting a little crazy. You can't have one district deciding, a judge who's not even elected. They're appointed, and they're deciding what can and cannot be allowed in our country. It's an abuse of power by the district judges. These nationwide injunctions should not be allowed by a lower court. Daniel Issa, who's a senator, he's doing the No Rogue Rulings Act of 2025, and he wants only. Hawley's also thinking of doing something in the Senate was ISIS Senate? I can't remember now. He might be representative. Um, you can only issue an injunction to the parties in the case. So in other words, we got to limit these district judges. What right does a district judge in, say, California area or out west or California have the right to say that the rest of the country is not allowed to do this? The rest of you can't do this. I'm a district judge, and that's the point. If it now has to go to the Court of Appeals because that's the next level up from these districts. There's the Circuit Court of Appeal, and then after that, it's got to go up to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And then the Supreme Court has to rule on it, and eventually they will. And who knows? I mean, I don't know how they're going to rule. Most of them have already made a point of saying, "Hey, you know what? The these district courts, they have to stay in their lane." The Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts came out and said, because some of these individuals in Congress are saying we got to impeach these judges, we got to pull them out, because if you're appointed, you got to impeach them and get them out. Chief Justice Roberts came out and said, that's not the answer. You shouldn't impeach them. Well, he's right and he's not right, because you can impeach them. There's articles of impeachment from some of the members of Congress already against some of these judges, because they're really overreaching here,
right,
in what they're trying to do. And the question, it's kind of understood by a lot of people that no, they don't have the right to do this, but they're doing it. And it's slowing down the agenda. And there's a ridiculous number of them. 2/3 since 2001 of these injunctions have been against the Trump administration. That's just during his first term. And it was done 92% by Democratic judges.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
That's kind of a surprise.
Wow,
that's a little 90. That's kind of crazy. Anything over, I thought you were going to tell me like 60 or something. That's pretty crazy. Maybe 70.
Democratic judges issuing these injunctions. 2/3 of all of them that we've had have been since 2001. Think about that. And that's only it's exploded since he's been in office. It's obscene. It's like 100 and some odd injunctions. I mean, I'm throwing the number out, but versus all the other presidents in the last few years, there was like 60 of them.
Wow.
So it's very blatant, and it will have to go. If the U.S. Court of Appeals don't start turning some of these around, it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court, and they're going to have to decide. Because now what stops the next president coming in and saying, I want to issue all these rules, and then we just use district courts, get a couple Republican district court judges to say, nope, can't do it, injunction.
Right.
We just grind our government to a halt.
That's what we do. But who looks like they're going to save it on the Democratic Party, Ma? Ready? Quick segue. Have you been seeing the talks of the Bernie Sanders AOC push that they're trying to make right now? How bad of a choice. So these two are going around kind of campaigning together as kind of the next two big candidates for the presidency. Can we talk, is that the best the Democratic Party has to offer? Especially, I'm kind of surprised Bernie is even going through with this after what they did to him. His own party did to him, but I guess he's the only hope that they have, because Tim Walz, that guy, everywhere he goes, he looks like a fool. So, it's Bernie Sanders AOC. You know what that is? That's a Bernie. How many years do you have left? Let's see. Trump does another 4. What is he now? How old could Bernie be? Bernie's got to be. Yeah. So they're probably waiting for him to get in, kick the bucket, AOC become president, and then they have a chance. But that's really it. It's like the two worst people.
I love they've been pushing AOC to primary Chuck Schumer, because Schumer's so much in the can right now, it's not even funny.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time because I know viewers are going to ask, but someone just brought it up already. Yeah, the Democratic Party is, and I have a lot of Democratic friends, and we all get along, but even they agree their party is an absolute disarray. There is nothing left. Now, did you
27% approval rate?
27%. Even that's terrible. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, because I doubt you have, because you're not in the social media aspect, but the 4 big Democratic kids, so that's that Dean, Harry Sessions, 2 other guys, they're like these big TikTokers that have these huge followings that were they were those kids that were getting paid by the DNC. Remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
So something came out about one of these kids. 2 of them I haven't looked into it because I couldn't give a shit. But these kids just had like these rough they've been doing some nefarious things behind the scenes, and now that little 4-man party is like disbanded. So it's like, what do we do? So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Again, it's easy to say now because it's funny watching them fall apart. And of course, like I feel bad if you're a Democrat right now and you have no one. You look at it and you're just like, there's no future in this party right now.
Well, if they're smart, and
Tear down.
if I were in that party, which I'm
I have
not,
some gum too.
I would be first of all, you got to be attractive because you got to do something fast. And I hate to say it, but you have to have some sort of appeal. And
Take notes, guys. Democratic Party, if you're watching, my mom's about to turn you guys around.
Well, if I was a moderate in a decent state, I would be laying low and let these individuals implode because they're falling on a sword that doesn't even make sense. Like we started this whole live podcast. 5 years ago, everybody had to electric vehicle. Climate change, AOC, get a car. I think she even had a Tesla. I really do. I swear to God, I think she had a Tesla when she first started. I think that, and now 5 years later, they hate the guy. He's a Nazi. And I'm not saying they're encouraging them to burn it down and do this terrorist stuff, but that's becoming the aspect of the party. If I'm a moderate, I'm laying low. And I'm waiting. And you talk to the Democratic people out there, the people who donate, because a lot of them stopped donating with the Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. They're going to lose a lot of funding now when they do the cuts with the USAID. We're learning how much of that was being pumped in to the Democratic Party and the Democratic causes. Yes, some Republicans, but too much of it has been going to support one party in this country. So you're going to lose a lot of funding. And you need to convince those donors, if it doesn't go back to the old system, if they don't find a way to somehow drain our tax dollars to support that party, you need those heavy hitters to support you. They're not going to do it for the nutjobs. They learned the lesson from Kamala. Kamala is still I don't know how true it is, but one of the ratings I saw this past week was she's still the highest ranked Republican, favorability-wise. Okay? What does that tell you? The woman's a disaster, and that's
wait. Did you say that right? Say that again. She's the lowest.
Is one of the highest rated members of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Okay. You said you said Republican Party, and that confused the shit out of me. I was like, wait, what? Yeah.
Of the Democratic Party. So what does that tell you? I mean, she crashed and burned, and now they're joking about her being an alcoholic. Meaning.
Oh, now it's funny. Now they're trying to take her out like they do every time. Because now media's like, oh, she's struggling. Oh, she's on this tour that's miserably failing. Oh, this and that. She's a drinker. Her divorce, which still trying to figure that one out. Still trying to figure out Michelle Obama.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were with Michelle Obama.
No. That was the other one. Michelle Obama with her divorce, and now she started this podcast with her brother. I don't know if you saw that. And people are like, hey, address the news. So,
right. Well, we'll see what happens because Michelle Obama wasn't getting traction, and now she's made the statement, I'm not going to, or this is why she won't ever run for office. Who knows? They all make those statements. But if they don't have the support, the financial, and that's meaning the heavy hitters, and you can't underestimate what Doge is doing. If they cut off that gravy train for one of the parties, and to some extent some Republicans too, they got to get funding and financing from somewhere. So they will do whatever. It's an existential.
You're telling me Soros isn't throwing huge amounts of money in there?
Well, yes, he is. But when that's your only source, a lot of people thought it was all Soros based. Oh no, now we're finding out our own taxes have been going to support these NGOs that wind up supporting the parties. It's outrageous that has been happening. It's totally illegal. And if you cut that off officially, and now you understand why they hate Musk so much. This is an existential threat to the party. And you add to that, all you got are these numbnuts who are the faces of this party. And you see they're all scrambling now. So Tim Walz is coming out trying to make a name for himself. Don't even bother, buddy.
Can I tell you, every time I see him on a stage, it looks like that gym teacher that's trying to be one of the cool kids. It's kind of tough to watch. And I don't mean it in a mean way. Again, I wish him the best, but it's just like, it's a 60-year-old trying to act like he can relate to the 20-year-olds. And it just doesn't hit right.
I don't wish him the best because he's not the best for our country. The guy's a
Well,
disaster.
I mean, wish
And
him the best as in life. I don't mean in. I'm trying to be
oh,
nice
he
here,
doesn't
Ma.
want.
Yeah, I don't
He
mean
doesn't.
him like go home to your kids, have dinner, you know.
Unlike him, I'm not going to call him a Nazi and tell people you should take him down,
Yes, I'm
right?
not. Yeah,
That's,
good
they're
point.
not that way, and that's the opposite of how they are. Don't wish him that. It's public discourse, but
You,
for what his policies, what he did in his state, and what he spewed during the presidential election as the potential vice president, obviously the American people didn't want that overwhelmingly. But yet here he's trying to make a name for himself. Gavin Newsom trying to make a name for himself. The audacity of somebody whose state almost burnt to the ground, and he's still through a podcast trying to make a name for himself.
Did you see? He literally just got burned. I think this morning, or maybe yesterday, where on that Charlie Kirk podcast, and Gavin Newsom again, one of the only people that they have a chance of pushing. He goes, I never said Latinx. And then they did a whole compilation of him saying Latinx. It's hilarious. Like, it's that kind of bullshittery that I will never comprehend. But did you see, speaking of calling people Nazis and shit, Elon suing that CNN guy?
Yes, and he's
That's
also
a big one.
He's also suing AOC and the top Democrats for slander. And he should. I'm thrilled to see that. It's about time we call out some of these political figures, especially, who think they could say whatever they want to, but will not allow another person to do that. You know, you shouldn't be saying things like that. You represent our country, and they're so, I don't know, it's so disappointing to me on both sides when I see some of these individuals and the stuff that's going on in our Congress. Not that this, you know, you represent our country. And it looks like a freak show. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Some days I'm like, on both sides. I'm like, come on, people. This is the best that we can do in our nation. Some of the most intelligent, mostly men, have been in those positions. And,
if Lauren Boebert was ugly, we would not be hearing from her. No offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. The Republican Party's not the greatest either. It's become a social media battle, I think, a lot of the time. Because they know that social media is what drives votes nowadays. I really do think that. So, I mean, I know more. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I definitely know a lot of, like, the Charlie Kirks, the Patrick Bet-David, the AJs, the who else? I mean, I know all these people because of TikTok and whatnot. More than, and I trust them more than some of the politicians that are in the party, the Republican Party and Democrat Party, but obviously Republican as well. So it's like, I forget where I was going with that, but I do feel like it's become more of who can control the media rather than like just.
Well, yeah, and well, the media, we've talked about this before. The media is changing. Mainstream media is outdated. It's the format. You know, it's older people who watch TV news.
Yeah.
And that's why you get Fox Nation and a Fox platform, and you get, you know, CNN tries to do so, whatever. Younger people don't use that.
Yeah.
And as much as Trump makes a point of saying, you know, mainstream media, it lies, it does this, he's fake news, right? He wasn't necessarily wrong. He was ahead of the curve. He kind of saw what was coming. It's the social media. But you got to parse through that too, like you just said. You can't trust everybody on social media. But you can trace mainstream media. What's promising, though, is that the younger people, maybe even more so than my generation, you have access to information where you can critically think for yourselves.
Yeah.
More so than I ever did, because we only had 5 stations to watch. And you were at the mercy of whatever that dignified announcer decided you needed to know that day. You had to really dig to find information literally at the library. Nowadays, you guys have aspect to, and you can get it in real time, which can be good and can be damaging.
Yeah.
But I will say this, you know, I mock the Democratic Party, but our country needs 2 parties. I think we have to have even more. You need that because I wouldn't want to see just one party.
Oh yeah.
It takes
that
too much
power.
power.
Yeah, that power is going to go to the head. But as I was going to say, everyone's equal. But everyone is equal, but people who watch The View are just lesser. If you get your information from freaking Whoopi Goldberg, you should like. I truly believe that the View is a government funded entity to test people to see how stupid, like what you can fall for. You
When
should
The
not be
View,
allowed to vote if you watch The View. I'm
I
throwing that out
actually
there.
saw the very first show, The View. Barbara Walters started it with, I think it was 4 other women.
Mom's
One
dating it. Mom's dating herself so bad right now.
it was Star Jones, who eventually became a judge. I can't remember. Oh, Meredith Vieira, who was another story journalist. And there was one other person after I think about it. The intention was good. She wanted different people to come on with different views, different age, to get a different age perspective, different backgrounds. One was black, some white, whatever. And that was interesting idea. I think Barbara Walters tended to lean liberal, but you know, she would come on from time to time. What it has warped into or morphed into is amazing. And I'm not against it. I'm a free speech. You want to have it, that's fine. I just think it's comical how all people do is use it as an example of just how bad the party is. Like they highlight those individuals all the time as being, this is what they spewed this week. Like that's all they're, in my world, that's all it's really good for. And half the time I'm like, what are these women saying? I don't even see anything of value on the other side. You know, like
there's it's so bad. But the reason I'm such not a Whoopi Goldberg fan, remember, okay, gotta be careful with how I say this since we're live. So my brother knows someone, allegedly, who got one of Whoopi Goldberg's granddaughters pregnant, relationship, right? And apparently all of her grandkids hate Whoopi. Allegedly. So that's how I know you're kind of a shitty person. When your own grandkids don't like you, that's how I know you're not a good person and probably should not have a show on The View.
Right.
So.
Well, let me just give it. Remember, Whoopi started as an actress, right? A comedian.
Yeah, which gives her all of the credentials to be telling people how to vote. But go ahead.
But just as a perspective, like we were talking about this at dinner, your father and I, that, you know, now all of a sudden all these Hollywood people are petitioning Trump, which right there, regardless of what I say after that, is a joke right there. They're petitioning Trump because they're so upset about AI, right?
Right.
And it's been highlighted by the Snow White movie because they did all the AI dwarfs, and the dwarfs are all, you know, upset, rightly so. Why didn't you use actors and blah, blah, blah? So let's pause for a minute here. They're petitioning Trump. They want this current president to be an advocate for them. I don't know who these individuals are, but just the idea of it. There's probably, I'm guessing they're all not, you know, Kerala and people who supported him.
Right.
Probably people that at some point were screaming that he's a Nazi and he's trying to kill everybody, you know, on their social media. And now they have the audacity. This is what I mean. They're like, they have no conscience, some of them.
Well, I gotta tell you, for a long time, I thought Whoopi Goldberg was a lesbian who was married to some comedian or some actress. That is exactly, she looks like a lesbian who smells like cat piss. But go ahead, continue.
It's terrible. Don't say that.
But am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You know who she dated for a long time? Ted Danson.
Oh.
From Cheers.
How do you spell Danson? Ted Danson.
Dan. Yeah.
Danson. That guy?
He's now married to Mary, the one from Mary Steenburgen, the one who, very famous actress, was in Step Brothers. She played the mother in Step Brothers.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of movies. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, she was in a relationship. Isn't that like, you don't know these people, but just look at it, isn't that kind of an odd couple?
Yeah.
They're together, but yeah, for quite a while they were in a relationship.
Now, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying she's no expert. I mean, she's got an opinion like I do.
Yeah, of course, but to platform, yeah. Again, I'm half kidding, but at the same time, like, of all people, you're gonna have Whoopi.
At least I know her. Some of the other ones, I mean, I knew of Joy Behar.
Yeah.
I won't even see a B-level comedian. She's like a C-level comedian that they rolled out once in a while.
Why'd you just say it like that? Why'd you say comedian? Comedian.
Comedian is a woman. A woman is a comedian. Man is a comedian. Anyhow.
Hold on. Wait. Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now. Hold on. Say that again. So there's a different. A
Yeah,
comedian.
comedian is a woman, or used to be, and a comedian is a man.
Okay, chat. Someone look that up. I don't believe that. I think my mom literally just made that up.
No,
So
I'm
I've
telling you, it's old
never.
school.
I watch a comedy podcast I watch Rogan. I watch Tim Dillon. I watch only comedian podcasts. I've never seen them refer to a woman as comedian like that. I thought that, Mom. I thought that was a
I'm telling
tick.
you, it's old school. People don't do it. No, it's old school. I don't think people do it anymore. You know, everybody's a comedian, but
My
anyhow,
God.
I'll say it your way, comedian. Anyhow, she was a B level, maybe a C level comedian, and now since she got this job, and everybody knows her, and she's this voice of politics or something, which I find it.
Right.
It's funny. I mean, by itself, it's funny. She's entitled to her opinion. She got the job. She's making quite a career for herself. But they're no experts in any means whatsoever.
That's an
you know?
understatement. Now, speaking of Snow White, have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Did you actually watch it?
No, I've been watching the reviews, and it's not doing well. Let me tell you, it hasn't even come out yet.
No, it came out today or yesterday. Today's it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
So 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, 2.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It's not doing well.
Wow.
But here's the thing. You know, I might watch it just because I'm curious. I want to see if it's at least good. The girl this is what I don't get. She doubles down, Mom. She doubles down and does a post about how the president should be assassinated, all this stuff on a Snapchat thing. How is it? First off, there's no way this girl's ever getting another job, right? I think we're kind of at that point where she's kind of like the female Isa Miller at this point, right?
Right.
Gal Gadot is probably the only thing saving this movie. I might watch it tonight after this just because I'm so curious. Which, I mean, for those of you that are like, how are you going to see it tonight? There's no movie theater. I'll find a way.
I was going to say.
I'm not paying for it.
Careful what you do there.
I'm not paying for it. So here's my problem, and this is my question. So they're trying to turn a profit on the $270 million movie, but would limit some damage. So it said the opening weekend, so this weekend, did $55 million. I don't know if that's good or not.
It's not. And I'll tell you why. I was just reading about it. Their expectation was it was going to do 70 million. And that would have been okay. You know, like that would have been good. Then it dropped to 60 million. Now all of a sudden the reality is 55 million, which is worse than, I mean, I just read a whole paragraph about that in some article about
worse than Dumbo, I saw, which I didn't realize Dumbo was a bad movie.
Right, that was the bar, and it's doing even worse than that.
I guess
that wasn't a $270 million movie. They didn't spend that kind of money.
Yeah, Dumbo. I didn't I remember when that came out, the new version of Dumbo that was a little more live. I don't remember it being bad or anything. I just know no one saw it because it didn't have a great promotion behind it. But yeah, as I said, Gal Gadot is probably the only thing saving this thing. But
it's bad for her too.
Yeah.
You know, she's the star of it, and she didn't really plan on going down as like the worst, being probably one of the worst films ever from Disney. So yeah, it just seems like a disappointment.
I would be lying if I said she couldn't sing though. The main girl, her singing is actually pretty solid. I was like, damn, okay, I'll give you that. I mean, you are a Disney star, so I guess that makes sense. But I see her face, and I'm just like, ugh.
Well, there was this article, there was a paragraph. I wish I could find it. I didn't bring it for the podcast, but there was a paragraph in it where they basically said, when is Disney going to learn their lesson?
Oh, yeah.
You're hiring actors and actresses who hate the material they're doing, right? You're spending all this money, and then you wind up not even using good CGI or whatever, where you could have used actors for it, since half of it is. So it's like, commit. Either make it an animation or don't.
Well, someone brought up a good point. Good point. We can't just blame what's her name? Rachel Zegler. We can't just blame her. The other person we have to blame is freaking Peter Dinklage, because remember, he was the one that was like, we dwarves don't want to get typecast. And now they did this weird thing that there were no dwarves, so they did all CGI dwarves, and then now this is gonna sound weird, but the little people community is kind of up in arms about that because they took the roles away for the one, like This is gonna sound bad, but I have a feeling that I have a feeling that when when they redo the Snow White movies, I feel like that's their Super Bowl.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like that's what they're like. Who's the 7 that they're gonna pick?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like that's the one. But yeah, that's the movie's going to flop. The question is, how bad is it going to flop? And then the next question after that is, how bad does something have to flop for Disney to change its ways?
Yeah, I don't know what more they need. They keep doubling down on this. And as a Disney stockholder, it's really starting to annoy me. You know, I want to scream because they're making every possible mistake and they keep doing it. Are they intentionally trying to drive the stock into the ground? And
if they are, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, you put a lot of money into these movies, and I don't think investors really want to hear this anymore.
So someone looked it up for us, Mom. The word comedy, however the hell you said it, is an old-fashioned relic of the sexist past, along with. Okay, let's see if you can take a guess. What do you think an avatrix is?
An avatrix?
Yeah.
Isn't that a woman dominatrix?
Nope, not even close. Is an aviator. So that's the female way of saying aviator. Right. Don't know why you went to that, Mom. Stewardess instead of flight attendant, and then authoress, authoress, which is someone who is an author.
Oh, authoress.
Authoress, yeah.
Well, it used to be actor and actress. God forbid you say actress anymore. Everybody's an actor. You can't say actress.
That's how I know.
Right? Comedian is a, I don't know.
Mom, that same person said that the little people are up in arms about the dwarves.
Oh, jeez. Oh, come on. The American Heritage Dictionary doesn't distinguish that it's, a sexist name. They just say a woman professional entertainer who tells jokes or performs various other comic acts. A female comedian is a comedienne, I-E-N-N-E. So it is a legitimate word. It's not. Of course, they make it sexist because you can't distinguish anything feminine from male. It has to be one lump. God forbid.
Of course. All right, the last article we have, and then we'll do some questions at the end. So get your questions ready, guys. I think the other massive news, arguably bigger than the JFK news, massive underground structures found beneath the Gaza pyramids. Did you see this at all?
I did.
This is one of those things. This is one of those things that, again, a lot of news this week that should have been talked about more. They found underneath one of the pyramids of Giza, they found these structures that go down deeper than the highest buildings we have, or tallest buildings in the world. And they don't really know what's down there. So basically what they did was they took like a reverberant laser. I forget what it's called. But basically based on the sounds, you put it to the floor and it'll tell you what's underneath. So there's an entire cave system that has been hidden for thousands of years underneath the pyramids, which they think they're not sure because they haven't gone down there. They haven't gotten the approval to dig. But I'm going to, this is going to throw the screen off for you guys, but I got to show you what this thing looks like. So,
I sent this right away to Bill Grutta.
Did you?
Yeah,
good.
For people on your podcast who were
Mr.
there
D.
for Bill Grutta, for the conspiracy theories and whatnot. Yeah. So
I know I'm covering our faces, guys. I apologize, but you guys got to see this. If you didn't see the news, this is ridiculous. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna. I don't know if you can see it, Mom, but I know I'm not sharing my screen. But so this is what it looks like.
Was one with Alex Jones. I thought that was a really cool picture. Did you see the one Alex Jones posted?
No. Maybe.
Look through the article. It's towards the bottom. An artist rendering of the radar scan.
Yes, so that's what I didn't see the Alex Jones one, but I did see. So it's the Giza system is bigger. So this is guys, like this is crazy. Oh, stream cut off. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think it's good now. I think that's your end. But we're still good. Unless did we just get shut down? No. But this is what it looks like. So here's the Burj Khalifa, and it's 2 kilometers deep. So it's deeper than the Burj Khalifa, which is wild.
Yeah, the building in Abu Dhabi, I think, or in some in the Middle East.
And then so that's I did see the Alex Jones one. That's the full scale one. How
Yeah.
crazy is that, people?
Well, it definitely. The first thing I thought of was, if this is a fact what these structures are, that might explain how you got the perfect pyramid on the top. Because there seems to be some sort of water aspect to it, some sort of spinning aspect. I didn't look at all the different readings about it, these structures coming down at the base. Maybe they were able to bring these blocks up, and that's why they had these
Maybe.
perfect squares. They didn't know how do they make it perfect like this, and blah blah blah.
But even
So
then, that would still be really hard to make them that perfect. But it does answer some questions about like first off, what's down there? They think it's used for energy. There was some way. Oh, well, mom froze. But they think that it's some. Man, I like that. I like the still images that mom's getting tonight. Poor mother. Mummy. Where's my mommy? No, but how crazy is that? D live stream went down for 2.5, 2 times for like half a second each. Oh, really? Huh, interesting. But yeah, so I'll show you guys this again. But I'll show it. Yeah, she did. Yeah, mom got froze. So this is what it looks like. So here's your Burj Khalifa, and then this is how deep these systems go. And then this is the. So they think it's a library, but for all we know, like think of how much history is down there, guys. Guys, that's the biggest news we have so far, which means that yeah, we're gonna have to see if I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet that the Vatican is gonna try and do something because they don't know what's down there and they're gonna want to know.
okay.
Hello, mother. It's
No,
okay.
sorry.
No, yeah, we were just talking about the size of these things.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they think it's a
yeah.
library, and my thought is so they have to get the permissions to dig, which I think is going to take a while. Ready, mom?
Yeah.
This is my theory. Vatican's going to step in. I think the Vatican's going to do the digging.
Oh,
They're going to put
maybe.
some. There's going to be some stuff in there that they're going to throw into the what's it called? The library you're not allowed to go into. I can't think of what it's called, but
The Vatican Library?
yeah, the name of the library I forget what it's called, but
I think you have to be. I don't know that the Vatican has the resources, to be honest, because this is going to be tricky. You can't. You got to be careful how you dig this because the whole thing could cave in. This is not an easy. Plus, remember, it's 1.2 kilometers down before you even get to it. So you almost have to, until they know enough about how close they are to each other, how, the land around it, because you could easily cave them in. And I think, I'm no expert, but I don't think this is just a simple, like, oh, take the trucks, let's go, let's start digging. I think this has to be done really, really carefully. They may not even break ground. They may try and do it like through sonogram and stuff, or just try and map it underground before they even go underneath.
yeah.
But it
Oh,
looks like
it's gonna be years. It froze again.
well,
Frozen again.
I
No,
didn't.
what's going on here? No,
I didn't.
let me check the streams. Let me check the streams. What's going on here? Is Restream struggling?
But it would be great if you
Go
could
ahead,
just go
continue.
straight down, but then you run the risk of destroying the pyramids, and you don't want to do that because they look like they're literally right under the pyramid.
Really? I just want to see if it. Gonna keep the volume down, but interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just looking.
Well, I've been watching The House of David,
Did
which
skip
was
that.
getting good reviews on Was it Netflix? I think it's Netflix. And it's about the Old Testament and King David, that we know existed. And the story of David, for anybody who's not familiar with it, David and Goliath, he used a slingshot and he took the giant down.
When the little man
And
beats the big man.
right. But they talk about how in the Bible, which they even reference in the Old Testament, there had been giants beforehand. In way back when, they were fighting the Amalekites, whatever. And obviously Goliath, they're making the point that he was some type of giant or very large human being for that time. So, you reference that from the Old Testament, and you see things like this, and the conspiracy theories that did aliens come down? Who did all these things? How could you possibly have it? there's definitely, we're just the tip of the iceberg of understanding prehistoric times, and what was going on. Were they aliens? I don't know, but maybe there was a whole class of human beings that could do things like this long before the Jewish slaves built these pyramids
Right.
and whatnot.
Well, they're thinking
Now,
that it's the lost library of Atlantis, which would be wild if we can find that.
Lost Library of Atlantis. Huh. Okay.
And the question is, why would that be there? I don't know the history of Atlantis. I think they've always thought that it was somewhere around there.
Oh, I
So
didn't know.
the concept is they think, or we're hoping that library is going to kind of unveil some of the mysteries of how the pyramids were made, if it's a library, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Um, whatever information in there is going to be of some value because it's got to explain even just how it functions. The fact that they thought to have these things that deep down in the ground. Remember, these are people that, as far as we know, they had no machines. How did they build these things deep in the ground like that?
Yeah, no clue. But all right, Mom, I think we've pretty much hit everything tonight.
Covered it all.
Yeah, covered it all. So people said, or someone said that one of the streams froze for a second, but I'm looking
And
at.
I didn't use any bad words today.
Yeah, you didn't use them, even though you said Alex Jones' name 4 times, which I think is a no-no on YouTube. But whatever.
I forgot. Now I gotta write it on my post-it.
That's why we
Don't
refer to him
blame
as
me.
AJ. But again, YouTube,
Okay.
it's okay. So, all right, guys, we'll do any questions you guys want, whether it's about YouTube, video games, anything. Just a normal Q&A. It doesn't have to just be about what we talked about. So what else is new, Mother, while we wait? So we have, so while we're coming up with questions, guys, as I said, we have this big gala this week down in Orlando for the podcast. Hopefully, Mom wins her award. Still don't know what she's up for, but apparently she's winning an award.
No.
So you guys get to see. I think it's live. I think Jen's doing it live. So
Yes, 50. That's all I could think of.
yeah. So I'm hoping that it's live, and then I know there's a red carpet, and I know that. I mean, you gotta look fancy. So.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I have to be 50 and fabulous, right? Isn't that Jen Hardy's site?
Yeah.
50
50.
fabulous?
The gala is 50 over 50 podcast. I think 50 over 50 awards. So there's a lot of people going to this, but it'll be fun.
Good.
Underwater city of an advanced society. Do you all believe in lost cities? Atlantis, Troy, golden city of El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Man, there's so much history that we've tried to uncover or have been slowly uncovering. I would say yes. I do believe, especially, well, I mean, now that these conspiracies are starting to come to light, I would say I promote this guy's YouTube channel way too much, but the Y-Files. If you're into conspiracies, watch the Y-Files.
He can be a little dry, though. Sometimes they're a little tedious. You got to really be into it.
Is that what Dad told you?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen drips and drabs. It can get a little tedious, some of these things.
When have you seen those? Is Dad watching them at home now?
No, there are others. I mean, I've seen others where
well-
I'm sitting there watching go on and on.
Well,
and on
that's
about
because
the
you're not.
water,
No, that's
the
because
pyramid.
you gotta watch the Y-Files. That guy does it
Right.
really, really well. Nice, you
Yeah.
going to that robot serving drinks. Oh, is that true? Yes, we are going to Jen's gala. So, yeah, along with all the other. Forget how many she said there was. Going, it's like 150 people. So yeah, we
That's
head out.
nice
We head
side.
out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, you
Well,
head
I'll
out.
be
Yeah,
down
you're
there.
down there Monday.
Yeah, I'm in
Visit my
Miami
brothers.
on Monday. Starting my tour. No.
Yeah, starting your tour, your autograph signing.
My
Getting
50 over
ready your
50
son.
tour. Should I come with a walker? 50 over 50?
Yeah.
That's what I'm-
Well, when Jen told me that there's someone getting, well, I won't spoil it, but there's a couple older people up there. I was like, man, is it going to be like people walking them up to the stand?
I really, like, keep it in perspective. But
Yeah.
in answer to that person's comment, I mean, we don't know everything. We're just a small blip in humanity so far, or in the history of the world. We have no idea. I wouldn't rule out ancient cities or things buried underground. It's not a threat to me that there was an Atlantis. I love how people act like, don't talk about that. There couldn't be such a thing. Why not? What's the threat? That there was some beings that, you know, as a type of human, maybe they didn't look like us. Maybe they were, I don't know. People have evolved. So I just think that, or I don't know the El Dorado one, but why not? I mean, look what we're learning now about these pyramids.
Yeah,
Who knows what this
possible.
is?
Mm. So, not. What do
The
y'all?
hard to keep Christopher away from Disney World while we're down in Orlando.
Yeah, you will. I'm a big Disney fan. Hey, I don't care if Snow White flops. Just let me on your coasters. What do y'all think about the ancient concept of non-Earth engineers who made humans and guided all of them of the age? Oh, you're talking about the not the Nephilim. What do you call those? The Anunnaki is what they're known as. Yes. You know, the more I watch the Y Files, the more I'm like, maybe. I don't know. Um, I would say that's probably false. I think have we been visited by aliens? I think even Elon said recently on I think one of the Rogan podcasts, even he was like, yeah, there's stuff I can't talk about. So I think we are kind of at the point where aliens do exist. I don't think that's even a question at this point. But are there these all powerful engineers? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if we have the evidence of that. So yeah, I don't. I believe in it, but I want to believe, but I don't know. So
I can't speak to it. I don't know the theory. I just know that, you know, as a religious person, I don't believe other beings make other beings other than through biological efforts.
yeah,
There could be one, but
you gotta watch the Anunnaki because the Y Files does a great job about it. The uh there's a whole thing about how those monoliths on the moon that Buzz Aldrin found collect I forget what it is from us, like negative energy, and then they eat that energy and that's how they grow. Sounds crazy, but again, when you actually look into like the conspiracy
are you
itself, you go,
talking about
well,
organisms of some sort that
yeah,
they grow and
the
grow with them?
concept, the idea. Oh God, we're gonna go deep here. The Anunnaki is apparently this ancient civilization that came. There's an ancient alien race
Oh,
that
okay.
came to the world to not conquer it, but the reason that they believe this is because a lot of civilizations, like old civilizations, say before there was a moon, right? And not just like South America, also Europe, Africa, all these ancient civilizations have these stories of a time when there was no moon. Then these people came, the Anunnaki,
Yeah.
who created the moon, and the moon has these monoliths on it. And if you look into the moon is hollow. Have you ever like this is fact? So
Yeah, it's yeah.
they've hit the moon with rockets and stuff, and it reverberates. So
Mhm.
all the oldest soil is at the top rather than at the bottom. Like it's the reverse of the Earth. So
Okay.
the concept is those monoliths that Buzz Aldrin saw that he was not supposed to
Okay.
talk about.
Yeah.
Um, uh, those apparently are supposed to take like our negative energy, and that's what they feed off of this Anunnaki alien race. So
What's considered our negative energy?
Uh, the I forget. I might have slightly made that part up. I don't remember what they actually take from us.
Teenage girls who pick on what you're wearing?
Yeah, I forget what it is. I like the world conflicts. Like they feed off that, like wars, death. So
Okay. Yeah, that seems a little weird to me.
or like actually, I think it's like when we die, the soul gets absorbed by the moon, and that's where they feed. That's the
Yeah, no,
concept.
I'm not buying that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, sorry. I'll watch it, but yeah, no. That sounds too fluky to
yeah.
me.
So, but that's kind of the concept. So, do I believe that there are ancient races out there? I don't think that they have anything to do. I don't think they're even touching us. They're probably too advanced to even give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think that there are civilizations that come long before even biblical references and what we
oh
know
yeah,
so far scientifically. I do believe that. I don't think we should be so close minded to think that, you know, Oh, it just started when we know about it and blah blah blah.
So
Is there proof of it? I don't know, but seeing things like this with the pyramids, you start to wonder, and you hear about big people and yeah, civilizations that have said things about what they witnessed long before advanced man came along.
yeah.
It's possible, you know.
All right. Any other questions? We'll do like a 2-minute countdown.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll give it till 4:45,
Talked
and
for
then
quite a while. It's a long live
yeah, we
podcast.
did two. We're at 2 hours and 9 right now.
Sorry about the internet. I don't know what was going on with that tonight.
Yeah.
It was like when you guys were home and it would buffer all the time.
Yeah. Terrible.
When everybody was on the internet.
Don't blame me.
You damn kids, when are they moving out? I can't watch my freaking movie.
Yeah.
We actually went out to the diner tonight, just the two of us, because I said, let's get out of the house a little bit.
Oh wow. What do y'all think about the power of HARP? Now, weather manipulation. Y'all think humans have the power to create hurricanes from scratch? So what's funny is the Y-Files just talked about this. I think they can do it. I mean, we do know that it's possible because Dubai does it every year to force it to rain. So it's definitely doable. But listen, strongly recommend watching the Y-Files, the newest episode that talks about that. It's amazing.
I gotta believe we're capable of it. Between we know we could do the solar wind things, the solar windmills and whatnot. So we're capable of affecting weather.
Yeah, I guess.
To the point of hurricanes, I don't know if, but to your point, they can make things rain. They can create that condensation and generate it. Wouldn't surprise me.
Well, they were talking about the whole thing's about how they got the power to do it, like the amount of power you would need. And they had some scientists on it, and then things get dangerous for the CIA and FBI when they have to sell the company to another company up in Alaska, and then they just cleared it out basically, and then they put it somewhere else and said, "Oh yeah, it's bought."
Well, that pyramid story. They did mention the Tesla
Coil.
theories like these. Inventor Nikola Tesla once speculated that the pyramids might collect and harness Earth's natural energy. Remember we talked about how there's that theory. He figured out how to create energy just from the Earth and not have to power anything.
By using the Earth's rotation as energy is basically the concept.
So there's that idea. I mean, the only thing I would say is if that's true, why wouldn't companies use it? Anyhow.
Yeah.
Not saying it isn't true, but now you have that on top of this with this theory about these pyramids.
Yeah. Yeah, the pyramid stuff's, I think that's going to be one of those things where 10 years from now, we're going to have some serious updates, serious new knowledge.
Yeah. 2 kilometers below the pyramid's base.
Wild.
I don't really understand what they do. I didn't watch the video of what they think these actually did.
Yeah, you can do it.
Like this one video shows them spiraling. I don't know that is.
Any other questions before we wrap this up? It's already 9:45. Any questions?
Yeah. Pancake's been up since 7:30, people. He's not used to that.
Yeah, I'm not used to this.
It's late night for him.
Yeah. This is more than a full day.
Oh, jeez. You ready for this week? Did you pack your bag yet?
I still have to do my whole trying on the suits and stuff, but I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Yep. Did you get a real license when you got your license down in North Carolina? Oh, that's good. We have to get that for travel, or we'll just use our passport.
What was the other thing? I got to practice my picture taking.
Oh,
practice my picture. Yeah. It's going to be tough to keep the cameras.
Yeah.
When they're asking me questions.
Sunglasses with your head down and walk right in and not talk to anybody because you're such a celebrity.
Is it true that you've been throwing up trying to fit into your suit? Does this answer this? And projectile vomit right onto him.
Dad, want to know how many times I was thinking of putting his name into my acceptance speech.
Yeah, right.
You had nothing to do
Yeah.
with it.
Dad won't even do my podcast when he's here. Thanks, Dad.
What you do?
Yeah. And you want to accept his speech?
Nobody says what you need.
My brothers won't even. Michael wouldn't even produce the podcast once, and he wants a shout. What do y'all think about the singularity event that will happen in 2030 and fuse human brains and AI?
Oh my gosh.
I think we talked about this one though. I think
We're
we talked.
fusing
Yeah,
brains
the whole singularity, basically when AI and humans start coming together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked about this, but it's bound to happen. But it's not going to happen in our lifetime. So 2030, no shot. It's probably going to be more like you're going to start seeing like cybernetics probably by 2030 and like stupid things like, oh, we can start moving you can get a prosthetic hand that does perfect movements, but you're not going to see it's not going to happen in any of our lifetimes. I'm telling you that right now. Mark my words. It's not going to happen, but one day it will happen and I won't care because I'll be dead. Yeah. Good luck.
I think it's great for people who have a deficiency. But
to take a perfect of course.
Person do it, to me, that will be the beginning of the end. So you can set your watch. Once you start doing that, humanity's just going to eventually.
And as we talked about earlier in the podcast, whoever gets it first is going to be the one that the one that has the first cybernetic humans and the first cybernetic army. We're gonna have some trouble. We're getting into Terminator level there.
Like I said, it'll be beginning of the end. You'll have no more nations. You'll have one dominant power. They'll phase out humans, etc., etc. And I don't know that will be the case, but
it's possible. It's a possibility. So
if that could be that idea that the supreme being
will
not end us, we will end ourselves.
I wonder though if one country gets that much higher, I wonder if that's when nuclear warfare will start, because it's, oh, this person got so high, nuke it. That's I guess is the real fear.
Well, that's what I mean. It'll be the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Whether it be nuclear war or whatever. I mean, the human response will be irrational.
Right.
The AI response will be totally rational, but it won't be rational with the idea of preserving life, because that won't be rational, right? So it'll be the beginning and the end. I don't think it's. I'm not thinking that it's a good thing, and part of me feels like, you know what, if we really start getting to that point, maybe every generation says that, but we've been evolving to the point of extinction, unfortunately.
Right.
And maybe that's always been the end game of our supreme creator, if you believe in such a thing, which I do. That, they always think, oh, God's going to end it, he's going to end it. I think it's controlled by supreme being, but with the idea that eventually you'll evolve yourself out of existence, and that'll be the I told you so. But it's up to humans to decide if they want to go down that road. It's all in our control, but.
Will you go live while we're in Florida? No, we're not going to. If Mom and I probably aren't going to do much, we're just going to kind of hang out. And then I know Jen needs some help, so we'll probably help her with whatever. If someone comes up to us and says, do you want to do a podcast? Of course, I'm sure we'll say yes. Like while we're down there, because I know she blocked out like 5 hours for everyone to do the podcast, like do their own podcast. But I don't think we're going to have to skip. We're either going to have to shoot it on Sunday when we get back, or, yeah. Or we just,
That's a busy week for
me.
we
could probably skip out next week. Next week we just won't do a podcast and we'll push it the week after.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah. Going on. See, ideally we want to be down because Mom's down there all week, so it would be a lot. And I think depending on where we are, because I don't even know if we're going to be together the whole time. So I'll try to be, but if Jen needs help with something, I'll help her out, because between me and her daughter, I think we're the only ones that aren't on that podcast 50 over 50 list. So, we're kind of the tag-alongs. But,
You're the only with the energy.
Yeah.
The energy of youth.
When Chris, can you walk up Bob, who's in his late 70s and has a crooked leg? Yeah, I got it, Jen.
God.
So, That's why we're probably
Maybe
just gonna take it slow. We're not.
maybe
We
that's
don't plan
what
to do much.
I'll win it because I'll be able to physically walk up there without help.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, what sucked, the one downside about being a YouTuber is the getting cameras from place to place. Because I don't want to
Yeah,
go through the whole GoPro situation, get my GoPro there, and then have to bring it
right.
back and all that and make sure all the parts are there. But I might just take a lot of videos from my phone and then maybe we'll do like a little video from what it was. But
That'll be
truthfully,
good.
Jen's hired so many people when it comes
Yeah.
to the production aspect of this that I think all of it's going to be done for us and we don't have to worry about it. So, yeah, I think it'll be.
Well, we could have your producer come with us and shadow us with his
Yeah,
camera.
my brothers are 3 hours away drive and they still won't come.
Oh, you weren't invited.
Yeah.
Mike would say, "If you pay me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If you pay me, I'll do it." Yeah.
Well, yeah, I swear to God, if you don't win this award,
Oh my God.
I
No
swear to
pressure,
God.
right?
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But all right, Mom, we could
It'll
probably
be
end it
fun.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, yeah, we'll have fun. I'm sure we'll meet
Yep.
people, and
Yep.
then maybe hit the beach. Who knows? Probably not.
Yep.
If I get sunburned when I have all my makeup done, I can't. I can't have that.
I can't get over you golfed all day and yours. Well,
Oh, and Mom froze. Couldn't get it out. See, perfect timing. But what do you think about human cloning? I don't know. It's possible, I guess. I've never really researched human cloning because I think it's kind of such a. I don't know if it's possible. What's up, Phil? Yeah. Well, Mom fixes her shit. Yeah. So while we're down there in Florida, we'll probably just kind of hang out with everyone, see what's going on. So Thursday I head down. Wednesday's like the big day, and then Friday's the big day, and then Saturday is the day I get back, and then Mom's gonna go back to New Jersey as well. Well, sorry, I said that weird. Mom's gonna be. We're leaving together at Orlando Airport. So if you guys see me at Orlando, I'll sign some autographs, but that's about it. Yeah, we have a podcast award to accept. No big deal. So yeah, I have to get into it. Let me tell you guys, nothing sucks more than having to wear a suit. Nothing. So Thursday. So as I said, so we're only doing the stream on Monday. Yeah, you're good. We're only streaming Monday, Tuesday. I don't know what we're gonna play, and then Thursday is when I leave, so we won't have a podcast. But I'm hoping that the whole gala is live for everyone, which I think it is.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess we can wrap it up there, Mother. You came back to it being wrapped up. I'm going Friday.
Just say goodbye.
Oh God, a viewer might. Are you going to Orlando, Phil? God, Mom, I can't handle autographs.
A groupie? We have a groupie
I have a
coming?
groupie. Shit. I can't get this freaking kid away from me. He's got his is that your golf tournament? No, the golf tournament you said was this weekend, but no. God, I'll sign something for you, Phil. God.
Jeez.
But all right. Oh, you're going to Miami. So Mom's leaving from Miami. Mom goes to Miami on Monday. So
Yeah.
Mom, just listen. We don't like cameras in our faces. Don't do that. That's
Not too much info. I don't want stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I'm just saying. And then Mom drives to Orlando to pick me up, and then we head on over to the gala.
Yep.
So yeah, it should be fun. But
Yeah.
iPhone 12. Oh, interesting. All right, guys. So it's almost 10 o'clock. We'll end it there. The only things I have to promote. So last week's podcast, of course. What else did I post? Today I posted the video. Oh, Wednesday was the start of the Cristallo walkthrough, so go check that out. The company was nice enough to reach out to me and ask me to do that, so I said sure. They also gave me some free keys to give to you guys, but we'll see. And then today I posted Games Pass Roulette, which was The Sims 3, and then this comes out on Tuesday on Spotify if you want to watch it over. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, as I said, we'll stream Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I have my recordings to do, and then I guess no, yeah, because I can't be here Wednesday anyway. Because I was like, maybe we can get another streaming day in, but then that's pretty much it. So social media, promo codes, stream links, the Discord down below, and we won't see you next week. You'll probably see us if you're watching the gala, which I'll post a link to, but we'll see you for a podcast the week after that. So yeah, so we'll see you guys.